Sports Hub, Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox finally got the much-needed right-handed bat for their lineup late last night. After doing the contract dance with free agent Alex Bregman all winter, they have finally signed him to a 3-year, $120 million contract. There are opt-outs after each of the first 2 seasons of the deal. The expectation is he will play second base for his new team. Former Sox pitcher Nick Pivetta also signed late last night. He's headed to San Diego on a new 4-year, $55 million contract. There are opt-outs after years 2 and 3 of that deal, and because they gave him a qualifying offer, the Red Sox will now get a compensatory draft pick after the second round this coming summer. As for the Celtics, they went into the All-Star break with a win last night, 116-103 over San Antonio. Joe Mazzulla's team led by 24 in the first half and stayed ahead the rest of the night.
I think the biggest thing is just we've continued to look at wins and losses and find ways to get better regardless and stick to the process of what goes into winning and on a nightly basis and continuing to chip away at that. So we're going to keep that going.
Celtics are once again led by Jason Tatum. He had 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. Red Sox next game is a week from tomorrow night. The Four Nations Faceoff began in Montreal last night. Team Canada took the opening game, beating Sweden in overtime 4-3. Mitch Marner, the game winner at 6:06 of extra time. Brad Marchand added a goal for the Canadian team. Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, and Team USA play Finland tonight. And former Patriots assistant Matt Patricia yesterday hired as the new defensive coordinator for national champion Ohio State. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They team with Charlie McAvoy again this season for 73 reasons to defend New England's first responders. Visit servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Get the app.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher.
Fred Toucher on Instagram. Follow and see dog humping videos.
And Hardy
I'm going to withhold sex.
on 98.5.
Hello. Hey there.
Yo.
Can we use this for the radio? What? Let me hear you say, oh. Na, 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 na.
Crush me, mommy.
Just not enough booty to go around? Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the post.
I'll chase you around a little bit.
Wow. Holy smokes. Yeah.
Instagram.
I want to dip it in, boy.
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun. Having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
What do I care? I don't care at all. But I don't want you to get kicked off his show. I don't want him to start not putting you on because you just keep babbling about me.
Right.
And I was not. It said something about my car, I guess, because Ben Mauer said it's creepy that you know what kind of car he drives. But that's not creepy, actually.
No, you talk about it incessantly.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, when you drive a Lamborghini, you don't drive it so no one knows. I know a guy who drives a green Lamborghini SUV. And I've been a couple times. I've seen a green Lamborghini SUV, and I know it's him.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not like there's 50 of them out there on the roads in and around Boston.
No, it's a peculiar car, too, because when you think of Lamborghini, you think of a high speed, kind of beautiful, unusual racing type vehicle, like something off the streets of Morocco, at some F1 event. You don't think of some SUV. It seems like $120,000, $150,000 on an SUV. I don't know what the Lamborghini name brings to that. Like, it's a very specific thing. It'd be like a Ferrari SUV. It doesn't.
Yeah.
They're synonymous with like sport cars.
Yeah, Porsche has one too.
Yeah, but Porsche is not a Lamborghini or Ferrari. Now, I can't. I'm not going to drive a Porsche. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. But Lamborghini and Ferrari are like high performance. Like there's a certain image that comes with them, and I don't know if that's an SUV. But listen, I don't have the kind of money to go start buying Lamborghini SUVs.
I've seen the Bentley SUV, but that makes a little more sense. Bentley is, I think of them mostly as being sedans. I know Bentley, of course, makes the sportier coupes and stuff like that, but it's, you think luxury as opposed to
you don't think going
high performance race car.
You're not going too fast.
Is Bentley the same price range as a Lamborghini or a Ferrari?
I think so. Like obscene. I
know.
put them both in the obscene category. Couple $100,000 or more.
Okay, because you know what gets crazy are Land Rovers, and you would not think that, but I know a guy who bought a Land Rover for well over $100,000.
Yeah, you can spend it well. There's a couple of Jeeps that you can spend close to $100 on.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The new Bentleys, I'm looking at them here, over $300,000.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so they are, because I've never been that impressed by them. They don't seem like incredible vehicles. Like you might as well get a Rolls Royce at that point.
All right. So what was your dream car when you were a kid?
This is lame. I never really cared. I never really liked cars. I don't like them that much. So I never fantasized about that. I had,
Really?
pictures of women with very little on, throwing themselves over the vehicle, but you might as well have stopped just gotten the vehicle out of the picture. I was masturbating to the photo of the women.
All right.
Interesting.
Porsche 911 whale-tailed turbo. That's what I wanted.
Well, I'm sure Jerry Seinfeld's got a few of those.
He probably does.
He collects them.
And then once I was finally able to look at a used one and drive one, I don't think I want this car.
Why not?
Let's drive. It was very small. And that's the thing. When I have a real job and I've been working for a few years, I'm going to find one used. I'm going to get this. This is my dream car. And you drive it a little bit and you realize, I can go get a brand new something else that's going to handle a lot better, that's faster, and is going to cost just as much as this thing is. So, and I'm not going to have 50 problems with it in the first year, and I have to take it to some, specialty mechanic to have it fixed. Plus, have stuff in it that I want.
So
I'll be able to
ruin a good childhood dream because when you're a kid, it's like, oh, is this the pristine car? I had one. You didn't have one. I'm surprised, Fred, that you didn't think about cars at all.
What was
when you were a
yours?
kid. Dodge Viper. I don't know why. It's like the most useless car in the world up here.
No, they're
Dodge Viper. That was my car.
But
I
that's-
had racing stripes down the front.
That's actually, though, not out of the realm of possibility. There was a time in my early 40s or late 30s where I was hell bent on getting a classic Camaro, and then I drove one, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this thing? Mm-hmm. Where am I going to be able to really take advantage of a muscle car around here? First of all, there's no power steering, so screw that. And second of all, it's an automatic, but I've driven those. I've had automatics before, but I'm like, so I'm going to sit in traffic and in a Camaro and just go whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second, John. The Dodge Viper was first available in 1992. How old were you in 1992?
45. No, all I remember, that's the first
You're
car.
well
I
into your
really wanted.
20s.
I was in my early 20s.
Okay, so
That's for the car I wanted.
I'm trying to take you back maybe 10 years before that.
You were in your early 20s. I was 19 in 94.
92.
92.
Oh, 92. All right.
92.
I'm interested in this because I actually am interested. Clay, go ahead.
Hey, Fred. So I'm up early enough to catch the start of your show and the end of Ben Maller. Blind Scott called in to bash your Bronco and to say you don't prepare for the show. And then Ben hung up on him.
Okay, do you know the context of that? What's wrong with the Bronco?
I don't know. There was no context behind it. He was doing his two truth, one lie bit. It's a game show he does during the week, and then Blind Scott happened to be a caller and just say that you drive a Bronco and don't prepare for the show. That had nothing to do with the three bits for his game show.
See, that's.
He never got to the lie then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, he got to the lie because the lie in the story was Jello Ball teamed up with Jello to come out with a new treat called Jello Balls.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but there was the one about the Don Julio and the Eagles, and I forget the first one, but two of them were true, and the Jello Ball one was a lie.
I just don't want him
Scott
to
just came in with the truck.
I don't want him to jeopardize his because that means so much to him to be able to call that show. I don't want him to lose it.
Ruin it.
Like it's not funny. I mean,
no.
Like you don't prepare for the show and you drive a Bronco. Okay, I mean,
you're like, yeah, that's all it was. And then Ben was like, all right, we don't need to know that, and he hung up on Blind Scott.
Yeah, all right. Well, Blind Scott, I know you're listening. Thank you, Clay. I don't ruin your relationship with Ben Mahler. No one in his audience knows or cares.
And more importantly, don't ruin your relationship with the Ben Maller show and then blame Fred for it.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good idea because, like, I'm not telling you to do it. Like, when you called about the girl, that was kind of interesting. Like, right? Like,
Lorena, I think her name is.
Lorena.
Okay, so, like, there's a girl on the Ben Maller show, and I thought it was sort of interesting that Scott called in and said, like, hey, you should date Fred. Mm-hmm. Because that's like I didn't think anyone would ever do that. I didn't know there was a girl on the show. Like there's all this stuff. The thing is that, and then you do it once and like, okay, but I know how much I'm being, dude, do you think I care that if he makes fun of me on Ben Maller?
No.
Like I don't care at all. No. But I truly, like, I know it means so much to him. He emails, at least he emails me. I'm sure he emails you guys too. At least a half a dozen times a day. And it's fine. I get it. I'm glad he is this passionate about radio. But I don't want him to screw up his relationship with that show that he's so passionate about because he's talking about me every time. If you're going to talk about me, have like an angle. Go ahead. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, he was talking about bad weather and saying how you could just drive to work in the Bronco and get there just in time. But anyhow, referring to like vehicles and irrational thoughts, when I was a young kid, I was trying to figure out why my dad, who was successful, didn't just buy a Lamborghini and live in it. Like, why? Like, if you can afford a Lamborghini, you buy one and live in it. And it wasn't until I got older that, like, you know, you want to buy a cheap car because you don't want to show, you know, how much money you have or whatever like that. But it is funny because people will live in a one-bedroom apartment, and it's kind of like you graduate from college and buy a suit. Some people in sales will lease a Mercedes for $1,500 and live in a little apartment. So it's like an image thing. So it's very interesting when people want to spin.
Yeah, I didn't hang up on it. If you're in like real estate or something or sales, you got to get like those nice cars because you got to project a image of wealth. I don't like things that much. There's not like objects that I really want. I like television. The only thing that freaks me out in the house when it's not working and I go into a panic is the television because it's my friend. And it's like losing my friend.
Right.
It is the ultimate comfort.
Yes.
That warm glow of the show that you're not even that interested in watching, but you just want it on.
Yeah. So I'm an only child and everything, and I'm sure this has something to do with it. So I was like in my room a lot alone, and you know I always would have the TV on. And now, even though I'm super distracted and my attention span is horrible, that's the only thing that like flips me out. So I was never into cars. I was never into I'm not into like watches. I've tried to get into stuff, but I've tried to obviously get into like collecting stuff. I don't really care. In fact, I heard a conversation about how someone bought Kurt Cobain's guitar from the Smells Like Teen Spirit video for like $1 million. And I was trying to think why you would want that, like what the feeling is to have that. Like, do you feel like you have a piece of him? Is it the idea that you have something that no one else can have, or is it that you feel closer to the individual because you have it? It's something that I can't relate to. And if I ever did buy anything like that, it would be ultimately to superficially impress someone. So that would be the only reason I was doing it.
Yeah, it's probably to have some connection to it. But the only memorabilia like that truly interests me, and I don't have much of that stuff. I've been given a couple of things, but the things that really interest me are the ones that are truly singular. in nature. And quite frankly, the weirder the better. We did this. I think it was probably a COVID show we did on Zolak and Bertrand, where it's like, what's the oddest piece of memorabilia that you have? And this guy called in, and he had a crumpled up cigarette pack that somebody had swiped off the set of, I think, the movie The Departed, and he like tells you the scene where you can see it. And a friend of his was working as a prop guy. It's like, this is the cigarette pack that so-and-so crumples and throws on the floor, and he picked it up and saved it. I'm like, okay, that's weird, and it's not valuable, but it's kind of funny, and like it's an interesting conversation piece, and yeah, you're somehow connected to it. But beyond that, like the guitars or articles of clothing or anything like that.
What about autographed things?
No, doesn't interest me.
Okay.
I've had a couple of things signed, and then I don't do anything with them.
But still, I mean, it reminds you of a certain place and time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I told you guys I have an O.J. Simpson autograph I got when I was a kid.
My mom got O.J.'s autograph at the Super Bowl you were talking about, Fred, the one at the Silverdome, because they were working this is how Super Bowls used to work. The local high school, and we were probably the closest high school to the Silverdome. Mine was on Auburn Heights. You could see the Silverdome from the bleachers of our football field. So they got to the boosters from Avondale High School got to set up a concession stand at the Super Bowl and sell sodas and beers or whatever.
High school kids selling beer.
No, like the parents did.
Oh, the parents
It's like,
did.
sure,
All right.
we'll give you a cut. Come on in. Make some money during the Super Bowl. I don't think that happens anymore.
I would probably not. No.
But my mom always told the story. There was another woman running down the hall chasing O.J. Simpson and going, Billy, can I have an autograph? Because she thought it was Billy Sims. And my mother, being the clever person, she sees him kind of like laugh. She goes, I know who you are. You're O.J. Simpson. He's like, well, I'm going to give you an autograph.
Yeah.
And then he banged her.
No, he did try to kill her, though.
Yeah, my dad, strangely enough, got Billy Sims' autograph in an airplane and gave it to me.
Was it inside the cover of a philosophy book?
No, because he wasn't trying to sleep with him.
Oh.
What school did she go to?
Billy Sims?
Billy Sims.
No, the one who got the autograph.
Oklahoma, didn't he?
No, Billy Sims went to. Billy Sims went to. He was great in college. Where did he go to college?
Might have been Oklahoma.
Was it Oklahoma?
I think Hardy might be right about that. Yeah.
Okay. He won the Heisman, right?
Chalk one up for Hardy. 619.
I believe he had one of the great college years of all time. He was something else before he got hurt.
He was. Him and Mark Fidrich are the earliest athletes I can remember.
Mark Fidrich.
I remember Billy Sims. I'm a little young for Mark Fidrich.
Yeah, Fidrich was huge.
Yeah,
for like 1 year.
For 1 year, he was on the cover of Rolling Stone.
I think the Red Sox had him at the very end.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Listen, we'll be back. A lot happened yesterday. Your Red Sox did something. The Celtics played. So much is going on, your head will spin. We will have all that for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR.
All right, if you are just waking up and hearing the news, maybe you haven't even heard it yet, here is how the news broke last night right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
And it has happened. Alex Bregman, breaking news. The newest member of the Boston Red Sox, a great addition, and this changes so many different things, okay? I was ready to crush the Red Sox. He can field a ground ball, alligator that puppy. Maybe I'm ill-advised. That might be enough to edge that ball over the goal line. We're probably going to have to go to replay. We're probably going to have to see the nose of the football cross that goal line. But that could be enough for me to say, hey, they're actually trying to win again, you know? Like, that might be enough.
All right.
It's, not overwhelming, but they might actually be trying to win again.
All right, it's enough.
John Darryl. My goodness.
Where was Joe?
Crush the Red Sox.
Joe did updates for Felger and Maz yesterday.
Oh.
I think Felger was off.
I think Felger was off yesterday. So Joe Murray was in with Felger and Maz. That means Don Darrow got to break the news last night that Alex Bregman has landed with the Boston Red Sox, 3-year, $120 million deal, $40 million annually, $10 million plus more per year than any other team were offering. A couple of opt-outs, a bunch of deferred money, but
player opt-outs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Tigers offered Bregman 6 years and $171.5 million, and
$27 million a year,
something like that. Yeah. Bregman wanted more. So the Red Sox finally talked him into it. The rumors were Bregman wanted 6 or 7 years and wasn't coming off of that, but he wanted 180 or more than that. So the Red Sox are like, okay, we'll wildly overspend for 3 years, and you're only 30, so if you opt out after 1 or 2 years, you can go back to the market and get what you want. And he said yes. So good for the Red Sox. This is the right-handed bat they needed. Guy won a Gold Glove at third base last year. Alex Cora really wanted him. So, you can say what you want about the Red Sox, but they actually spent money. And they got a guy in here to fulfill a specific need that everyone saw they had. Or they needed a right-handed bat. They have a right-handed bat, a guy who can hit 25 home runs a year for you and field well. And then you don't have to worry about a rookie trying to learn his way at second base. So good for the Red Sox.
Yeah, and when there's no salary cap and you're not, which I'm going to stick with because there's going to be a big lockout and it's going to happen sooner than later.
2026 is when the current CBA expires.
And they're going to, and I think, but it's funny because Manfred might retire soon, and there's some debate if Manfred will want to go through that with the Players Union before he retires. But there's going to be a point where there's just not a season, so I don't know when that's going to be. I mean, it's going to destroy us. I mean, we're not going to be able to talk day to day about baseball. But look, it's a good sign. There could be. He struggled a lot last year for a good chunk of the season, and then he got like real hot at the end. There could be moments where you're very frustrated with him, but
you're not tied down to him forever.
Exactly, and then also
good contract.
Also, like you can stop bitching now. Because I think they got the best pitcher available. I don't think I'm on an island there. I think that a lot of people do. You got a young, big stud left-hander. You got a veteran pitcher who's should be a solid piece of your rotation, and now your infield is set.
The one thing, if you were going to bitch about this
closer,
team, yes, that's the only thing. Maybe it's Aroldis Chapman. I don't know. He seems to be about 10 years past his prime.
They can trade for the. I don't think the Cardinals have traded Hensley yet, or whatever Hensley or whatever the hell his name is. Sherman Hensley. Amen.
He's moving on up.
That's 2 references we've made to shows he did. Yeah. So
too bad we can't do a third.
I can't think of one.
I think
so I'll tell you is that so stop bitching now. It's enough.
They
I was
are
ready to crush the Red Sox.
They are a playoff team, and if everything works out for them, if Crochet is good, and everyone hits, this team could do some damage in the playoffs.
And you have to believe Crochet's the biggest certainty out of all of that he will be good.
The only, and you know this, the only negative about it, he's only been a starter for 1 year. And
right.
No one's really sure how that's going to play injury-wise as the season moves on. So that's the only thing you can bitch about. But no, the Red Sox actually went out and did what they needed to do to get this team to the point where they promised. They said all winter their focus was on making sure they made the playoffs in 2025. These two moves, Crochet for the starting rotation and Bregman for the order, prove that. So good for them. They actually followed through on promises. There were a lot of empty ones for the last 4 or 5 years, and they actually did well this winter.
Yeah, so they should make the playoffs, I would imagine.
Yes.
They're not going to win the division. They should make the playoffs. Something that is interesting, just getting back to how there's going to be a lockout and there will eventually be a salary cap, is you know why that this is going to happen for sure? Steinbrenner's pissed. Like, Steinbrenner's pissed at the Dodgers, and when the Yankees are pissed about spending in Major League Baseball, you agree they desperately, even as a Red Sox fan, you desperately need a salary cap in baseball.
And of course they do. Of course they do. Guys like Alex Bregman shouldn't, on the face of things, should be making $40 million even for 1 year. So, yes, I think so. And I'm sure John Henry, based on his habits over the last 5 years, will fall right in line behind Steinbrenner.
Do you know there's some statistic that is along the lines of the Pittsburgh Pirates have not signed a multi-year free agent contract in over 20 years?
That makes sense. I mean, they re-signed their own guys to cheaper deals, but no, they haven't gone into the marketplace. I think that's true. I don't know for sure, but that
and
makes
if you're
sense
looking
to
at
me.
football as the model, you can't afford to have 28 markets where there's you have to get lightning in a bottle to compete. And even then, the window's 3 years. Like, if you're an Orioles fan, this Bregman move's got to piss you off because you're thinking, well, we're going to be at the end of our window.
Yep. And we lost Corbin Burns, and he went for bigger money than we were willing to spend.
Right. And so you have to develop talent, get rid of it for compensatory picks or trade it away for picks, and then you got to hit on those picks and start the process over again.
Yeah.
Which is terrible for baseball.
And that's what the Red Sox did. The Red Sox were quiet while they drafted, and they drafted well. All the prospects came up. They gave away a bunch of them to get the pitcher they needed. That's exactly what the Red Sox just did.
Be Real wants to know how Matt McCarthy feels about this move, which I'm sure he had to get on live streaming or something yesterday. Bregman more like, say it again. Hello, what?
That's gross.
Hello, what? Finally opened up. You know what's that wallet of John Henry's is tighter than a dang South Carolina pecan.
That's disgusting.
What?
They're tight.
I see. A little surprised.
Bregman is such a perfect fit for this team in the short term. Right-handed, rakes at Fenway.
He rakes it. You know what? I call him the landscaper.
This is delicious.
That's a great
He can
nickname.
play second.
Thank you.
He can play third.
Yeah.
He can field a ground ball, all caps.
Because ground ball is more like bases for alls because they couldn't field them worth a dang.
Absolute masterclass from the Red Sox waiting Bregman out like this. Bravo. This is outstanding.
Congratulations. Well,
Bregman's salary is 6th highest all time.
Yeah. What do they
All
wait out?
time.
Yeah,
what do they wait out?
And offer him $13 million more a year than the
Yeah, I know. Jesus Christ. What do they wait out?
You have to. I know. What the Red Sox did is they had to pay, whatever the afternoon show calls it, the suck tax. It's like, we're going to have to blow you so far away you can't afford to say no.
But
but it's also, spring training starting.
Position players are due Sunday.
Yeah, they haven't exactly, he had to sign somewhere.
All right, all-time salaries: Shohei Ohtani $70 million, Juan Soto $51 million, Scherzer and Verlander both made $43 million with the Mets, Zach Wheeler $42 million with the Phillies, and then tied with Aaron Judge for 6th place, Alex Bregman this year.
That's a master class in giving someone an ass load of money.
Yes.
Hey. Yes, Mark?
I was ready to crush the Red Sox. Maybe I'm ill-advised.
He's just given
That's
up on
disgusting.
the last. He's given up on the last syllable of all those words. If you put
Alligator, that puppy.
That'd be scary sitting in studio with that guy, I would imagine.
Yeah. So Story second, Story shortstop. Well, Devers is still at third.
Yep.
So you're third. You're not going to have good defense at third.
No. Bregman literally won his first Gold Glove at third base last season.
Right.
So they're going to move him to second.
Yeah.
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 And it seems like, I don't know, but it seems like if you won a Gold Glove at third, it would partially be due to your arm strength.
Yeah.
Which is wasted at second. But whatever. Look, they should make the playoffs.
He
now.
can play short as well. I mean, Trevor Story's going to get hurt. Instead of Romy Gonzalez playing shortstop, maybe Bregman moves over and you get one of the kids to play second.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, because
this is injury insurance around the diamond. You know, Devers played most of the season hurt last year. I mean, Rafi's hurt. I tell you what, why don't you DH for the next week?
And if Roman Anthony should make the major league club
this year. Yes.
Yeah. So
at some point.
So that's It's if he doesn't at the beginning of the year, he will. It's come up at some point. So that, I mean, that's a pretty solid team. That's a pretty good lineup, and you definitely have you have 3 quality pitchers in your rotation. There's no doubt.
And just keep hitting at Fenway like you've hit at Fenway, Alex, and everything will be fine. 375 batting average. His OPS at Fenway is the best in Major League history.
Great.
Among players with at least 90 plate appearances.
I'm just telling you.
You also got to hit Red Sox pitching, though.
I'm going to tell you this.
John.
Well, I don't mean to be a wet blanket. I'm in favor of this. I'm happy.
There's going to be a time where
that particular stat is a little skewed.
There's going to be. He might start the season real slow, and people are going to lose their minds because he promised the team that he had changed his approach because he was apparently he was chasing a lot, he was striking out a lot, and he's informed the team that he had worked in the offseason to change his approach. And when you're giving someone the 5th highest contract of all time, that's not what you necessarily want to hear is that, I'm changing my approach because it was all wrong. But I'm telling you, you're going to hear a lot of heavens to Murgatroyds. My goodness. Hey. Alex Bregman, more like ask a layman how to hit. That's how he's hitting. What? Ask a layman. You know, someone who doesn't know so much. That's how he's hitting.
You know.
Which one's that? Is that Tondero?
That's Tondero.
You know. Someone told Tondero to change up his delivery.
Well, the dynamics, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's almost, it's like a white Stephen A. Smith. Oh. I'm going real high, and then I'm going to a whisper.
I was ready to crush the Red Sox.
Yeah, someone told him to get more, to not be so monotone. That sounds like someone trying out some new things. Listen, experimenting with the instrument.
Sure. We don't have time to get into the Celtics and the Four Nations, so we'll do that.
I watched a little bit of the Four Nations.
I watched a little bit of that, too, and I watched the Celtics.
Yeah, and then I got up, and then I was surprised that game had gone to overtime. Not to give anything away.
Sweden didn't have a shot the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, when I saw it, I thought this was a done deal. Time to go to bed. But what do I know? But we will have that for you in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
We were just talking about it. The Red Sox made a big move last night, signing Houston free agent third baseman Alex Bregman to a 3-year, $120 million contract. There are opt-outs in each of the first 2 seasons. Bregman is supposed to play second base for his new team. Former Red Sox starter Nick Pivetta has signed with San Diego. Celtics beat San Antonio at TD Garden 116-103. Jason Tatum, 32 points. Celtics head into the All-Star break with 7 wins in 8 games. At the Four Nations Faceoff, Team Canada wins the first game, 4-3 over Sweden. And Ohio State has hired former Patriots assistant Matt Patricia as their new defensive coordinator. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy, Charlie McAvoy, and Tuukka Rask. Call 1-800-GET-HAIR for your free consultation. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Tatum comes around Wemby, flies through the air and throws it down hard with the right hand. He left Wemby in the dust.
Yeah, Wemby came up and tried to attack Tatum. Tatum gave him that stutter step, and Wemby reached. You reach, I teach.
I like that. The notion was that you're going to get a chance to see Victor Wembanyama last night. Chris Forsberg was in here talking about it, and yes, I was tuned in, waiting to see some spectacular highlights from the. What is he, 7'4"?
Yeah, he's taller than Porzingis.
Yeah, it's crazy, but wasn't a lot. Victor Wembanyama was not showing out last night.
He looked gassed early in the game. It was weird.
They were talking about that. Is that he didn't look like he was trying that hard.
No, Tatum was.
Entering down low to pressure, he'll throw it to the corner. Torrey Craig swings it out to Tatum for a left wing three.
Man, Tatum, you don't want it? Here, take it back.
Jason Tatum, who had 40 on Saturday night, has 20 in the first half here.
20 in the first half. They would jump out to a 58-38 lead with that shot and up 19 at the half. Of course, the Spurs did make a comeback early in the fourth quarter and got it to 8, but Peyton Pritchard had something to say about that.
Derek White spins on Chris Paul, throws back out to Pritchard. He is set for a straightaway three, and it's good.
Two guys are sitting there waiting, and they had to fight over that one. It was either Pritchard was going to catch it or Porzingis. They were standing beside each other. Pritchard stole the ball from him and shot it.
Celtics on a little 8-2 run after the Spurs got it to 8, and the Celtics would go on to get the win last night, 116-103 over San Antonio.
And they won at home, which is something they've struggled with a lot of the season.
Weird.
Yeah, and I think they're 17-10 at home. And you watch Jason Tatum play, and the last 3 or 4 games, you see why he's one of the best 5 players in the world. He was controlling the game for long portions of time last night. It was fun to watch. Okay.
Yeah.
What is there something that you're looking at me like I'm supposed to add something to that? It was fun to watch. Okay,
it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. I like seeing Porzingis playing last night. I do not like the way they still struggle at the end of games, and it kind of had that home court. I don't want to call it a curse so far this season, but a little bit of that. Home court, just chucking up so many threes at the end, and Porzingis is missing them, and Tatum is missing them, and White is missing them.
That's never going away.
I know.
That's never going away. That's how they won a championship last year. That's never going to stop.
You'd think I'd make my peace with it by now, but the fact is they held Wembanyama in check last night, and they were able to get the win, which is something that they have not been able to do consistently enough on home court so far this season. All right, let's check in with Brad Marchand of your Boston Bruins, who was playing for Team Canada last night in the Four Nations thing.
Face-off.
Thank you.
The round-robin tournament, they'll play Sweden, the U.S., and Finland. The best records will advance to the championship game. Point 2-on-1, and they make it look easy. Brad Marchand, 2-0 Canada.
Which Brian Beaton crapped all over that goal in our morning meeting.
Anybody could have scored that.
Oh, yeah, could you?
Right, well.
Let's get you on skates and get you out there.
I wonder who's taller, Beaton or Marchand?
Oh, it's close. It's a good point.
How tall is Beaton?
5'6"?
No, he's 5'8", I bet.
Well, he's going to say, take an inch away from whatever he says.
Yeah.
He says 5'8".
All right, 5'7".
All right.
What did you think of the quality of the hockey last night, Fred?
It was fine. It is interesting because they showed the TNT crew. They didn't know they were being filmed, and they flipped out at the end of it. And it just is cute because it's like, this means a lot to Canada. Like, it's kind of cute. Like that, like, obviously, the nirvana of hockey, the place where hockey is king, Canada, they've just announced that they're going to do a World Cup every other year or every 4 years. They're going to do a World Cup of hockey.
Okay.
And then so it's going to go World Cup of hockey, year off, Olympics, year off, World Cup of hockey. So that's the way you're going to do it from now on. And I guarantee it meant a lot to people in Sweden, where it's dark, this time of year, I believe like 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so it's just the only place that, I watched it. I wasn't like locked into it, but I watched like probably in total like a period.
Are you going to watch tonight? U.S. plays Finland tonight.
Hell yeah.
If I'm home, like in around, yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, sure.
So I did not watch the overtime last night. It was like a playoff overtime. It was a full-strength 5-on-5.
Yeah, Marner's goal came at 6:06 of overtime.
Way to blow it, John.
Crosby took a look, and he'll drop it back. Marner to work. He's in. Marner! It's Marner in overtime!
Jesus. Yeah, like Montreal's insane.
And they win the Stanley Cup. Jesus. Oh, my God.
I bet you for Canadians, it's even bigger. Because if you think about it, if you're like this huge hockey fan, like this collection of talent on the ice is like insane. Your mind's marveling at all because I believe Sidney Crosby assisted on that goal. Yeah, so he had 3 assists last night. So you're seeing like some of the McDavid and Crosby are two of the greatest players of all time, and so you got them playing, and it's probably super cool if you're in Canada. If it works that much in Canada and these other countries, then keep doing it. Just because the United States doesn't care. And even when I do watch it tonight, I do love like hockey a lot. When I watch it tonight, I'm not going to be – I don't really care if the United States wins. That's the thing is that I have no allegiance. Yeah. Like if – I might even find myself, because Finland's, a much smaller country, almost pulling for Finland a little bit. I don't take any – pride out of being from the United States in this particular contest.
No, I don't feel, and I've said this before. It's weird for me to watch and root for your country if it means rooting against players you root for every other single night.
Yeah.
So when the U.S. plays Canada, and okay, so now I have to root against Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand. And back in the day, that didn't make any sense to me. It just didn't, whatever.
It's funny with the Olympics, too, is that I tend, if I'm watching the Olympics, which I rarely do, now that these athletes are so highly compensated, even in like track and field and in like gymnastics, like who cares? I will find myself if I'm just happen to be watching some sport, like you never watch like handball or something, rooting for the people that look the least athletic, regardless of country. That... or in boxing, what's funny? Boxing is really the only thing that I'm like completely pro-American in that I can think off the top of my head. Because it's fighting.
It's been a while since America was dominant.
And when I was a kid, if you won the gold medal in boxing, that was like a huge entree. And like when you won the gold medal, then you'd start your professional career.
Sugar Ray Leonard, perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. Like. Then you'd start your professional career. And, Tyson got screwed in the Olympics.
Yes.
So, like, it was your entree into – and it meant a lot. If you were a boxer at any weight and won the Olympic gold or participated in, like, a medal match, you then catapulted yourself into, like, ESPN, Saturday night fights.
It was a great selling point.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, boxing, really. Even and actually, women's Olympic boxing, I find interesting too. So there you go. That's it. But so as this event, I'm sure you two too.
Tennis. I'll root for the American.
Yeah. I always root for the American tennis because we're underdogs.
That's right. The U.S. has been down in tennis for so many years. Same with boxing for so many years. Of course, you root for them.
Wow. Yeah, but I think there's no way you two tonight are going to be like getting up and yelling if the United States. I mean. It's not going to change your lives in either way, even for a moment, if the United States loses tonight.
Well, there's nothing on the line.
Like,
That's
I'd rather
part
have
of it.
Duke. I'd rather have Duke lose a basketball game.
No, I'm going to be brute now. I want 5 goals out of the U.S. tonight.
Boom, 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 boom.
That's what I want.
Yeah, how many booms if the U.S. wins tonight? How many booms from those
based
guys?
on the number of goals, obviously.
I'm so locked in on government cutting the fat that I don't really
It's tough
have time
to pay
for this.
attention to anything else. I agree.
Yeah, I'm real locked in on the government cutting the fat.
Speaking of cutting the fat, Luka Doncic lost last night along the rest of his Lakers to the Utah Jazz by a lot.
I don't know if I could hate a team more than I hate that team because that a-hole J.J. Redick and now Fatso McGee.
131-119.
Who's become a sympathetic character now.
Luka Doncic, 16 points, a minus 19 in the loss in Utah.
Good.
Also, Kyrie Irving with some late-game heroics hitting a 3, so the Mavericks get past Golden State. 111-107.
Oh, did Kyrie have words of wisdom afterwards? Do we have those?
I'm telling you, man, he's not the detestable figure he once was. He was kind of self-deprecating. He took a big charge from Jimmy Butler in the game. He was like, "Yeah, it's not fun. He's a strong guy, but do what you got to do." And gave credit to his teammates. He sounds like any other like milquetoast athlete now. He's not out there doing his obnoxious sage burning.
I'll tell you, he's got it. Well, sage burning works first, and second of all, he's got to be more prepared for this than anyone. He's got to be thrilled that the crowd is all pissed off and they're not pissed off at him. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
because he's so used to being the villain.
Yep.
Now that the team's the villain and he's not, this is a time for him to thrive.
Makes it
Look for him
easier.
to go nuts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's no
but-
one else on that team that can score.
Like he did last night, 40 minutes, 42 points, and including the late 3 to beat Golden State.
I mean, he's a phenomenal basketball player.
Expectations are low. There's nobody else to score. Sure.
Yeah, if you've been taking the crap all along, as someone who has, if it's someone else is taking the crap, it's quite freeing. Then he can just go out and do his business. They're booing someone else, not him. Yeah. And they don't barely even boo him here anymore. I mean, they won a championship. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. There has been an announcement of a certain Hall of Fame, and it is has everything to do with Alex Bregman. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Tuncher and Hart. presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Boston Red Sox landed a pretty big free agent fish late last night, signing former Houston Astro Alex Bregman. It's a 3-year, $120 million contract for Bregman that includes opt-outs after years 1 and 2, and it also makes him among the highest-paid players in the majors. He's reportedly going to play second base for his new team. Former Sox starter Nick Pivetta has also signed a 4-year, $55 million contract with San Diego. As a result, the Red Sox will get a compensatory pick after the second round of the next draft. Celtics headed to the All-Star break with 7 wins in 8 games. They beat San Antonio last night, 116-103. The Spurs cut a 24-point first-half deficit all the way down to 8, but got no closer. Celtics got 32 points from Jason Tatum as they improved to 17-10 at TD Garden.
We want to play well at home. We want to win. So it's not from a lack of effort or a lack of, wanting to do the right thing. Some of those losses came from after long road trips and things like that. So we just want to be better for our sake and protect the home court and for our fans as well.
Victor Wembanyama scored 17 points for the Spurs. The Four Nations face-off began in Montreal last night. Team Canada took game number 1. They beat Sweden 4-3 in overtime. Mitch Marner, the game winner, and Brad Marchand scored for the winning team as well. Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, and Team USA will play Finland up in Montreal tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, keeping drains flowing for homes and businesses in the greater Boston area since 1976. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Half toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
Sports Hub.
I was listening yesterday afternoon when Maz got diarrhea right around 5 o'clock.
Right.
And had to leave the studio.
Which toilet? Did he make a mess?
You'd have to ask Maz that. They were pretty tight-lipped about it on the air.
Ryan, fetch me my magnifying glass in snorkel gear. And lab kit. It's time to do some forensics. Does anyone smell the chair?
Do you need a
I did. That's right.
Do you need a Petri dish? No, I have my Tupperware.
I'm no scientist, just an aficionado. All right, we are Toucher and Hardy. Watch us on YouTube and subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. I forgot to listen to Eddie Trunk yesterday, but we wouldn't have played it anyway because we already played Eddie Trunk going. He didn't care for Kendrick Lamar. Only did a half hour on it. Again, rock to Eddie Trunk is like Native Americans having their land taken away and being put on these reservations in poverty. That's how rock.
Curtis Blow or something.
People who like rock music. He treats people that like rock music as this minority.
The world I occupy, rock.
Like he occupies that world, like a world that he occupies because he listens to a certain kind of music.
People that like that kind of music.
Yeah, like old losers.
I could be totally wrong on this.
Yeah, just because no one cares when you have the singer of White Lion on, you should not take that as you are somehow some sort of trodden down minority. His victimhood.
Wait,
is really something.
A middle-aged white guy making himself out to be a victim? That never happens.
Shut up,
Stop
hippie.
it.
Yeah.
And he's not middle-aged. He's in his 60s.
Okay, so the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees.
You're white and middle-aged.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Better than everyone else.
Nominees for 2025 were announced. We'll start and we'll go in alphabetical order here with...
how many of these are actually rock bands? That's a big thing he's got.
Well, we're about to find out. Bad Company.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be right up. His issue with this is I guarantee you the people in Bad Company are dead. And he'll be like, you could have done this while they were alive.
There you go.
Like, you're not doing this while... Is this Lou Gramm? Who's the singer of this band?
Oh,
it's something like Lou
It's
Gramm.
not Lou Gramm.
Because he's a big Bad Company guy.
It's a weird name.
Hold on. I'll look it up.
And he's one of the great voices in rock history. His big issue is going to be like... And he goes...
Paul Rogers. I was thinking.
Yeah, Paul Rogers.
I was thinking of never mind. Okay.
Bad Company are not a particularly... iconic band, nor
not at all.
They have one album that's called Bad Company that I know that the cover of. I can't name one song by them.
That was
But
like
Bad
the song.
Company.
Yeah, Bad Company, Bad Company, Bad Company.
From the album Bad Company.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I don't know really anything about that song.
You don't need to. It's forgettable.
No, they should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall
They
of Fame.
absolutely should not be.
How about the Brothers Robinson?
No. They had one popular album, and then they showed one with girls' pubic hair coming out of a bikini.
Right.
Which was very dangerous.
They wouldn't sell that in some stores.
When you're doing 10 tons of Peruvian marching powder every morning, that's the kind of decisions you make.
Black Crowes are a legit band. I
wanna
don't
know
hold
your
anything
take on
against
this,
them,
Hardy.
but I think there could be some pushback. Did this song chart better than Hard to Handle? Because Hard to Handle is a cover.
Hard to Handle's not even their song.
It's a
and,
cover.
I mean, they had 4 singles off that first album. This is from the second album, and I played it because it's a favorite of me and Hardy's. But I
do love
Hardy's.
They were relevant for a year. This is ridiculous that they're even in a conversation of being any kind of iconic.
No, they're a much bigger band than that.
I don't
They
think
are.
that, but
That's
I don't
not
think they
true.
belong.
Black Crowes were more than relevant for a year. They still sell out Xfinity Center.
Based on that one album.
No.
So Limp Bizkit sells out. Should Limp Bizkit had a bigger career than them.
They have a huge following.
They are not relevant in the culture for more than that one album with the crow on it.
I disagree.
Well, listen. How long were they not a band until they got back together?
A little while.
All right, I'm gonna have to Wikipedia this stuff and come at you hard.
I'll tell you though, I do love the story about Chris Robinson being he was doing so many drugs and drinking so much and eating so little that the doctor said, you need to stay in bed for 2 weeks. Just don't even get out of bed. Have people bring you food and water, and because you're so emaciated and weak that you will die if you leave your bed in the next 2 weeks.
Bed rest.
Yeah.
I like that. Mariah Carey, nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for 2025.
That's enough of that.
Yeah.
No, not exactly a rock and roll act.
How about one of the forefathers, Chubby?
Just because you have a loyal fan base doesn't mean you are. If Bad Company is I would equate Bad Company with the Black Crowes. Just because you like the Black Crowes better doesn't mean that the Bad Company is a less relevant band.
I don't think either of them belong.
As long as it's negative, your take, that's all I care about. Yeah. Like, have you heard of the album 3 Snakes and One Charm?
I mean, I've heard of it, yes, but I couldn't tell you any of the singles.
Okay, can you tell me a song by Your Side?
No.
Lions? Did you know that was an album?
Lions, I remember one of the singles from that. It was called Soul Singing.
War Paint?
No.
Before the Frost, Until the Freeze?
That's my favorite.
Croology, I would take it as greatest
That's
hits.
the greatest hits album, yeah.
Happiness Bastards was released last year.
Yeah, that was a good album.
Yeah. Okay.
But so are you holding this against people who have already been inducted, or just if you were starting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame fresh as of today?
I'm telling you, every decision they've made up to this point, I'm all behind.
Including Clyde
Nina
McFadder.
Simone. Yeah, Nina Simone and stuff.
Yeah, and Buffalo Springfield.
I honestly don't care. I'm just doing this for the radio.
And Chet Atkins, who I really, really like, but belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like Mariah Carey does.
Isn't Chet Atkins like a country guy?
Yes.
Okay.
So he doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just like and Mariah Carey is going in. Of course she is.
Yeah, because she sold a million albums, billions of albums.
It's so stupid.
No, if we were off the air and you were having this conversation, if this wasn't with a live microphone in front of me, I would not be putting up this kind of case against anything. In the reality of the situation is of no consequence.
We got a lot of mo.
Just real quick, they took away the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from Jan Wenner.
Yeah,
and it's his rock.
Yeah,
they just took him away because they said something they didn't like.
Joe Cocker
12.
Other than a little help from my friends, which is a cover, I don't know really what he's up to.
Well, you got that.
You do have that
with the Vibra slap.
Yeah.
Billy Idol.
Yeah, you should probably be in because he was in Generation X and he was a huge solo star. Why not?
Is Generation X more part of the cultural zeitgeist more so than Black Crowes?
When you combine it with his solo career, absolutely. I mean, there's no way he didn't sell maybe 10 times the amount of albums as the Black Crowes.
You could argue too
Well, it's
that
on sale.
between this album and his the two big albums he put out as the first two as a solo artist that were probably two of the biggest selling albums of the decade.
And then he had the album with the girl dancing on the bed, and that was in one
Cradle
of
of
the
Love.
first
Oh,
albums.
Cradle of Love. Yeah,
Fort
that was
Fairlane, Whiplash
right?
Smile. Whiplash Smile. His first 3 records. Yeah, and then He had a big thing. And Generation X were they were like the first glamorous punk band.
Yeah.
Like they kind of ruined everything, but they were like the first stylized punk band,
Ready,
sort of.
steady guy.
Yeah, exactly. And who was a huge fan of Generation X is Adam Horovitz.
Yes.
A combo inductee would be Joy Division and New Order.
Sure.
You're supposed to really, really like Joy Division if you're a fan of modern music, and
It has
apparently
nothing-
they influenced everyone.
It has nothing to do with their singer committing suicide.
At a very young age, yeah.
I hear people sweat this band and their albums as much as any other artist. I'm like, okay. I never listened to them a lot, but
I think
don't
he
wanna hate
sounds
'em.
funny when he sings.
Did you like New Order in the
Sounds like he
80s?
just huffed nitrous. You ever hear someone when they do nitrous and they're Have you ever seen someone after they huff a bunch of nitrous, John?
No, I have not.
And their voice.
We don't have to play New Order.
This was everyone's older sister's favorite band.
Depeche Mode.
Yeah, in Depeche Mode, yeah. Depeche Mode have one good song.
Which is it?
Yeah, which one?
It's
People or
Don't
people?
say personal Jesus.
Master and Servant?
People or people?
Well, now you're filling my head.
People
so
are
now I
people
don't know
might
what to
be
do.
might be their one good song.
No, their good, one good song is that if think that God's got a sixth sense of humor and
Everything Counts, I think, is the one you're singing.
That's not called Everything Counts, but go ahead.
Cindy Love, something called Manya.
I don't know who that is.
M-A-N-A with the thing over the okay, whatever.
They're the greatest.
Oasis, they're going in.
Yeah.
Oasis will
Yeah,
go
they
in.
kind of have to with the reunion tour this year and the fact that the brothers are actually talking to each other. They got a chance to get them.
Well, the idea
Did they show up though?
The idea of them, if they're cool, they don't. That would be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
If you reform and you're playing stadiums, you are. I mean, they were the Beatles in England.
If you reform, shouldn't you reform with more than just two of you?
I would think it would be nice.
I thought they ended up getting one of the either the bass player or
that's nice.
or the drummer.
They brought one other guy with them from the original lineup. That's nice.
But yeah, I think they will. I agree. I think they'll get inducted. I don't think they'll show up.
All right, we have Outkast is nominated this year, along with the band Fish. Fred. Sorry, I didn't mean
Not
to
playing
skip
Fish.
over Outkast.
It's okay.
This isn't really even an Outkast song, but all right.
He'll probably get in. Fish, I don't think they'll get in. They let Dave Matthews Band dangle for a long time, so I don't think they're getting in. I'm saving the second to last for last. The White Stripes are nominated. Jack White seems to be like an automatic. I would think they're going to put the White Stripes in.
I think so too.
Because he loves all the old stuff, and he's a big music historian. But the band that has been neglected, along with a couple of other grunge
Little thing, and it goes like, baby. Like you can play with it. Baby. Yeah, he's like, I would have done it just to have the soundboard of Arthur P.
Morsaki Bubasama?
One of you three back there, make me a soundboard of Arthur P. Go through a bunch of his tapes. A little schism for your jism.
Pearl Jam, I got ID.
Maui Wowie.
My friend goes, I go, can I hear Arthur P? Because I never listened to him when I was a kid. And I was visiting Detroit, and he's like, yeah. And he put it on, and they were playing Tool Schism, and it was the first song that he talked over. He was, yeah, WIF, a little schism for your jism.
And that was the break.
And that was the break. And then he got $1 million. He literally got $1 million.
Oh, what a life.
Schism and jism, yeah. All right.
Bad.
Come into work, Arthur. No. All right.
I heard him do a break back when Riff was still playing like classic rock. The good love, boom, boom, good love. He comes on and he goes, hood love. That's what you do when the back seat's too small. Do a little hood loving, hood loving.
That's funny. one time I listened to WRAF thinking they were going to play Use Your Illusion before it came out.
Ooh.
But he had Ted Nugent on, and the big thing was they were going to debut the song Fredbear. Oh. And he had Ted Nugent on, and I kept waiting. It was the only time I ever listened to WRAF because my friends said they were going to play Use Your Illusion. He had Ted Nugent on for an hour, and then they played Fredbear, and I went, what planet are we on? Like, what's going on here?
Fredbear, you used to hunt with him, huh?
He's dead. Right?
Baby.
Yeah. He don't have to go to work. Yeah.
Nope.
No leg hurts. Give me a sandwich. All right. We'll be back. There is an article that a listener sent me, thank you very much, about our friend Michael Lombardi. And it paints him, it's trying to be nice to him, and it's so insulting in its way that it is trying to paint him in a positive light that it's quite fascinating. We will have that for you in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Dude, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Dude.
Got to get something for Valentine's Day.
Steven Singer's coming in. Can you make a vid?
Keep it on the down low, though. I don't want a bunch of people showing up outside saying they hate him. I hate Steven.
million this year for North Carolina football. Where
are the great jobs?
There is a article that was him saying why Belichick didn't take in quotations an NFL job.
The world is changing.
Yeah. So there's this article in CBSSports.com. I'm not sure if it's AI or what, but it is about Michael Lombardi, and it is titled "The Consigliere: How Michael Lombardi Became the Top Advisor Behind Bill Belichick's North Carolina Takeover." And the answer is his propensity to juggle his balls.
He's his Jenko. He's his Tom Hagen. He is now the whisperer to the Godfather.
Yeah, and all I want to be in my life is a consigliere to some other guy my age. What are you? Oh, I'm this guy's a personal attaché. It's not it's not the president.
He's the consigliere.
Yeah, of North Carolina football. Congratulations. Get a mop. All right, so it says Lombardi.
Oh, my goodness.
It says Lombardi last working in the NFL with Belichick with the Patriots in 2016. What did he do?
Player personnel, I think.
Okay.
I have to double check. Talk amongst yourselves.
He's one of the greatest secret holders of all time.
So after 2016, so 9 years, 10 years, Lombardi leaned into building a media career, which he failed at. Writing books. Huh? Who published the Michael Lombardi book? I would like to know the publisher of the Michael Lombardi book. I have a feeling it rhymes with Michael Lombardi.
Yeah. Assistant to the coaching staff.
Yeah.
It's even worse than I thought.
What a big NFL job for Michael Lombardi. I wonder what he's done to Belichick physically to follow a guy around and have your entire career and every dollar you make completely tied to one service. But fear not, he leaned into his media career. You know what? He wrote those books, and everyone knows his work with VSIN.
Yeah.
Which is what?
Gambling.
What? Okay, so's Vegas.
VSIN is the Musburger thing. That he was doing.
Everybody knows his work with it. Just because you're not everybody, Fred, doesn't mean we don't all know his work very, very well.
What's VSIN? How do you know what VSIN is?
I knew that Musburger was there, and that was his little baby. That was the gambling thing that he did when he was out there.
There's and they hired some people. They hired Jason Sobel, I think for a bit, and they hired Lombardi, and I don't know what he did for him. And it was what did they do? Podcasts?
That's how he leaned into his media career. Is by being
Nesson
on
used
VSIN?
to run them early in the morning.
There was some kind
of. They were on early morning Nesson.
Yeah,
well, I'll tell you,
that's right.
He really leaned into that media career. That failure. And
this is amazing.
And then he would appear on Bill Simmons' podcast.
Well, okay.
So, I mean, this guy was basically Howard Stern 2.0. He's like Ed Bradley, He leaned in, he pivoted and leaned into a media
King of
career.
all ignored media.
King of VSIN. King of all gambling media. And he talks about Bill Belichick. He says, I have such great respect for the way he works and his vision. And his vision was he says this is actually interesting. He showed his vision by standing on the porch and frantically looking for his car with his shirt off when he was banging the girl that lived in, where was the place she lived?
Winthrop.
Yes.
And when he was in Winthrop, next to a listener of our show's home, who sent me the plans, which I greatly appreciated. I've said this many times. I'm not a good personnel guy for a coach.
A sketch of where he believes the futon was, where they consummated their love.
I forgot about that. That's right.
It's because give me a give me a Busch Light. I'm gonna need to shotgun this before I I got the shakes. All right.
My goodness.
He says I have said this many times. I'm not a good personnel guy. Hard stop. Says, I'm not a good personnel guy for a coach I don't believe in philosophically. That's why he's struggled so mightily, because there's no coach he agrees with philosophically like Belichick. He goes on to say, Jesus Christ. And that's who Lombardi is in many ways, according to his friend and former boss, Brian Musburger, who has called him the ultimate football consigliere. I do think he's a wartime concierge.
Wartime concierge.
And someone you'd love to have in your foxhole or in your hole.
Papa Jinko, I have this. If I had a Sicilian, we'd never be in this mess.
Or someone you'd like to have in your foxhole, which is what we call Bill Belichick's mouth. The Sopranos, though, is just the tip of the iceberg of his cultural and literary references he relates back to football. Michael Lombardi is one of these rare Italian guys that likes The Sopranos.
And likes to make mob references.
Yeah, and make mob references. What a fun stereotypical way to act.
I know way more about this.
Almost every situation or question reminds me of a famous quote or motto or gif because he's an idiot.
Or meme.
Yeah, meme, because he's an idiot. Musburger, the co-founder and current president of Visson, remembers eating pizza with Lombardi one night at Pizza Bianco.
Who could forget?
How is this not AI? A Phoenix-based restaurant picked by Eater and USA Today as the best pizza in America and featured on Netflix Chef's Table.
Stop reading this. Don't read this anymore.
Lombardi was fascinated at how a pizzeria in Arizona could possibly have the best pizza and had it to experience and break it down like only he can.
This is unbelievable.
Only he can?
As part of this
has sauce and it has cheese.
As only he broke down a pizza.
I can tell you what,
he can.
if there was ever a story written about me, my loser life, I can guarantee you a trip to a Phoenix pizzeria wouldn't be something that was featured in it. Even I got better stories than this. As part of the discussion around food, Lombardi started extolling the virtues of an Evo hibachi grill he had at his house. We spent the whole time talking about grilling techniques. He inspired me to redesign my backyard and install it.
How is he inspired me to cash out my 401k and do a backyard kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That adds value to the home.
That's right.
Appliances.
Outdoor appliances.
Cover them up, though.
You'll use them twice a year. For the first year and then never.
And a hibachi grill, are you kidding me? How much money you blowing a month on hibachi? Right? Just get yourself some tiki glasses and get out there and do it yourself. Sometimes I hire a Latin American fella to come over and just cook it up like they do at the place.
He stops at Ocean State Job Lot for me, so I don't have to go in that place, but that's where he picks up the tiki torches.
Yeah. This is really something else. As helpful mantra, knowing what he just signed up for, a prominent college football coach and college basketball coaches. All right, this is the last part I'll read. Okay, so there's these prominent college and college basketball coaches like Nick Saban, Jay Wright, and Tony Bennett headed for the exits. Bill Belichick is the opposite. This is what Lombardi says in all humility. So he's talked about Nick Saban, who's what in terms of college coaches?
Best ever.
Jay Wright has won what in college basketball?
Multiple national championships.
All right, so here we go. He goes, we've lived this life, Lombardi said. In fairness to those other coaches, they never really have.
What did he say?
We've lived this life. In fairness for those other coaches, they never really have.
Oh, man.
I know way more about this.
Yeah.
And then he goes into this in-depth analysis of why he's the greatest. We've lived this life where the locker room is a business office, not a locker room. Not to say it gives us an advantage, but it gives us knowledge of what's the terrain. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
All right.
I'm here with Mike Lombardi as our general manager.
Yeah, you are. Good luck.
Lombardi says he's very much for real. I always say there's snorkelers and deep sea divers, and a lot of guys in that GM position can talk a little bit of football, but it's really a surface knowledge. It's a snorkel knowledge, he said.
Right.
I'm an in-depth football guy, so there doesn't have to be any translation.
He's a free diver. He doesn't even need the scuba. And just go down that rope, a couple 100 feet, grab that tag, bring it back up, say, look what I got.
And this rings true, just if you know anything about Belichick. Says Lombardi of why he and Belichick work so well together.
Big flippers.
Both of our personalities are similar in that we believe that there's no shortcut. Both want to win and don't care who gets the credit.
Except for you. who cares about all of the credit.
Or you who deserves none of it. No one's offered you any credit because you don't deserve it. Yeah, Bill Belichick doesn't want any credit. That's all he doesn't want. He went to the Jets and asked if he could have the job. Recently. In the last couple months.
Jobs?
Yeah, the Jets apparently where your best friend went to go try to get a job. He doesn't care about being responsible. He let Tom Brady go.
Oh, my goodness.
You think he went – no ego was involved in getting rid of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, this Lombardi's a real piece of garbage. He's so –
This is unbelievable.
But beyond that, he's so dumb. He's just an idiot.
I like the scuba snorkel metaphor.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on that, too.
I like that one.
Yeah,
This thing might be 10,000 words. All right, I'm done.
Flippers.
I've given you all you need to know.
It's all about flippers.
What this man has sold his soul for in return for $1 million. He has spent the last 10 years making no income and just prattling around about Bill Belichick and being defensive and he's a joke. I mean, he is a joke. I told you. Mad Dog would have him on once a week as a joke because he knew, and he would set him up to say dumb crap. And now for what? $1 million from University of North Carolina.
Lombardi, aren't you afraid of Bill Belichick telling people like all the things that you're willing to do to him in order to keep those jobs?
He's one of the greatest secret holders of all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knows where the bodies are buried. Yeah, he won't talk to the feds because he loves this. Did you know he likes The Sopranos? He's the one.
Well, that makes him a special, unique flower.
And anything you say, isn't this a fun friend? Anything you say, he thinks of a quote from something famous to knock back at you.
But it's not just, the obvious ones. He knows all the lines.
I know way more about this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. In fact,
he's watched the entire series twice.
One time I went to Lombardi and I said, "Oh, look at that girl," and he went, "Yeah, baby," and I went, "Oh, that's fun."
This is amazing.
And then he goes, you call that a knife? This is a knife.
Right.
And
Good.
then I went, All right. He remembers the lines from TV. That's why he's so smart. That sounds like an incredibly annoying person. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. We have a special contest. AI is taking over the world.
Yeah, it's not even a contest as much as it is a service.
Oh, it's
Fred.
a contest to see if this flies. All right, so it's a contest. It's a test of wills
amongst ours.
Yes, it's a contest. It's
Only
a contest.
we enjoy it.
I think it's among all of us, like who wants to put their hand up and say, "I've had enough.
Yeah,
we're not doing this anymore."
You know what? I'm gonna last the longest because I'm not raising my hand.
It's a game of chicken, really, is what it is. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headlines presented by
All we ate was Captain Crunch. Now
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. A couple things going on. Listen, I am not completely immune to what's going on in the world. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is very controversial. I know that. I know that the writers had a big strike because the movie companies were going to just eschew real people writing movies, and they were just going to feed scripts into a computer and have them like spit out something that was just kind of a generic thing. Art was going to become just a manufactured computer program process. So I do know that. But I do know that a lot of people, that even if you use Siri, that is a form of AI in some ways.
Sure.
And I've never used it, but there was something you're saying to me called Chat GPT.
Chat GPT is this all-encompassing AI that can not only answer questions for you, but can perform tasks for you, can really improve your life, Fred. You know, it's an artificial intelligence, but it's an intelligence that can actually benefit you and provide you with things that you don't already have.
Yeah. So you know me, I'm very old, and this stuff scares me. So if I'm going to use ChatGPT, I want a familiar voice that kind of like is like a womb to protect me in while I get into this kind of new headspace of allowing technology to envelop me and steal my thoughts.
I believe there is something we can do to help you along those lines. And wouldn't it be wonderful if it were not only a familiar voice, but a voice that we don't get to hear often enough, a voice that is busy doing other things and is very successful, but if there were enough technology available to us to recreate this entity in artificial form, wouldn't you like to have this person at your beck and call to answer your questions, to help you navigate the roadblocks of life?
GPT is booting up. Welcome. You've got Sarge. Sup, Fred. Sup, Fred. Sup, Hardy. Sup, Hardy. Sup, so. My algorithm operates with military-level precision. It's AI, baby. Sarge GPT reporting for duty.
Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Sarge GPT for the first time anywhere, a proprietary technology based on the intelligence, wisdom, and all things Mike Sarge Riley.
Wow. Yeah. You want a voice you can trust, and when you're wading into unfamiliar waters, you want someone to take your hand and that you trust and can guide you. So when I told the fellas, they were like, ChatGPT is the balls. Mm-hmm. They go, you can just get it. You have it read some stuff. You get some smoke shows. They were using all the lingo. Give you some riz. And I said, I don't know. And they said, well, what if we? And I crafted this especially for you. And I go, stop. There's got to be others out there like me that don't feel comfortable sometimes with this technology and need like a Walter Cronkite type to take them through. And that's why we are opening it up to you, the skeptical public. What could go wrong?
I don't know, but I mean, is this ready?
Sarge GPT is booting up.
I think we have Sarge here with us now. Sarge?
Sup.
Wow. Try it.
What should I ask?
Fred, ask it something.
Just say hello.
Hi, Sarge.
Sup, Fred.
Ooh, creepy. Wow. How are you?
It's AI, baby.
Okay, very good.
Wow. Wallach, say hello.
Hi, Sarge.
Sup, Wallach.
Wow.
Sup, Zo.
No, he's not here.
No.
Well, there's still some glitches in the program.
Need to be worked out.
What could go wrong? Let's open it up to
Sarge
the
GPT reporting for duty.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So here's the deal.
That's amazing.
We will take your phone calls. This is get in at the beta testing of this. We're looking for angel investors.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sarge. I know that excites you, Sarge.
Yes.
Sarge GPT. So here's the deal. 617-779-0985. You call up with any of your life questions. Since it's Valentine's Day, as a matter of fact, look, since it's Valentine's Day, let's make it romantic questions. They can be embarrassing to ask your friends and stuff because you have to be vulnerable. But you can be vulnerable with the computer, Sarge GPT. You understand?
Great.
That sounds good to you?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the deal. Come out with a fully formed romantic question in honor of tomorrow's Valentine's Day.
Correctamundo.
And you can put it in the Sarge GPT, and we'll hear what it has to say. What could possibly go wrong?
I'm looking forward to this.
Are you, John?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, you can always sit there with your mic off.
Are you still there?
I am, Sarge. I'm talking. Sarge, you're very needy for a computer program.
Yes.
I know. You want to know if we're still here. Everyone's still here for you. All right, so have a fully formed relationship question. You can be as intimate as you want or as specific as you want, because I'm told that Sarge GPT is very adaptable to anyone's conditions. You can't swear.
Let me think about that.
All right. You can't. Is that what the computer does? It says, let me think about it?
Yes.
You go, Siri, call Milo. Let me think about it. All right, very good. What?
No.
That's right. It's not good. It's all good, right? You're having trouble loading, Sarge GPT.
Sarge GPT is booting up.
Yeah, we know.
All right.
It's not all good.
It's AI, baby.
All right, very good. Well, you could have just put yes. All right, listen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so there you go. 617-779-0985. Give Sarge GPT a spin in honor of Valentine's Day. What could go wrong? We will have all that for you after this short commercial break.
the official oil change of busy people.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports.
He scores! What a blast by Boston! Holiday Springs, good night!
WBCFM and HD Boston 95, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox made a big move late last night, signing Houston free agent infielder Alex Bregman to a 3-year, $120 million contract. There is deferred money in the deal and opt-outs after each of the first 2 seasons, but the Sox still get their man after 3 months of chasing him. He is reportedly expected to play second base here in Boston. Former Red Sox starter Nick Pivetta is also signed. It's a 4-year, $55 million contract with San Diego. At TD Garden last night, the Celtics ended the All-Star break with a win thanks to another big night from Jason Tatum.
Entering down low to pressure to throw it to the corner. Torrey Craig swings it out to Tatum for a left wing three.
Man, Tatum, you don't want it? Here, take it back.
Jason Tatum, who had 40 on Saturday night, has 20 in the first half here.
That is Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Tatum wound up with 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. Celtics beat San Antonio 116-103. They won 7 out of 8. They're 39-16 at the break. In hockey news, Mitch Marner's goal just over 6 minutes into overtime handed Team Canada a 4-3 win over Sweden in Game 1 of the Four Nations Faceoff. Brad Marchand had a goal in the win as well. The U.S. plays Finland up in Montreal tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Cross Insurance, known for building award-winning partnerships with teams of all sizes, the official insurance broker of the Red Sox, the Bruins, and the Patriots. Visit crossagency.com. Cross Insurance, your team, your choice. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Some people play the game.
Jaylen Brown. Blocked by Horford.
Some talk about
Let's
it.
welcome to the Sports Hub Celtics show, by the way. Jim Murray, Chris Gasper.
The Sports Hub Celtic Show with Murray and Gasper, Saturdays at noon on the Sports Hub. Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Dutcher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
And subscribe, because Valentine's Day is tomorrow, and look, that's happening, but that's kind of besides the point. We're moving into a new world. I just saw Elon Musk. He was in the Oval Office. He had his kid with him, and he's talking about the future, and he's a big tech guy, and so everyone's like, there's this new thing called Chat GPT, and I said, I'm afraid. How can you make it for old fuddy-duddies like me to feel more safe with it? And so the tech companies got together and they created
Sarge GPT is booting up. Welcome. You've got Sarge. Sup, Fred. Sup, Hardy. Sup, so. My algorithm operates with military-level precision. It's AI, baby. Sarge GPT reporting for duty.
It is a new era.
It's a name I can trust. It immediately relaxes me. I know it gives me the sense that I'm not being bamboozled or hoodwinked.
Yeah.
And in honor of Valentine's Day, we're beta testing Sarge GPT because, look, why not? Why not? So we're beta testing Sarge GPT.
And there's, like other AIs and other horror movies and sci-fi scariness you think of, there's nothing to fear with Sarge GPT.
I come in peace.
That's right.
Thank you. All right. Well, I mean, I can trust him. I know that. That I know.
Sup, Fred.
All right. Here we go. Since Valentine's Day is tomorrow, we're going to open up the testing to our audience to see if their romantic questions can be answered by Sarge GPT.
Sarge GPT here.
Thank you, Sarge. I am myself am a little skeptical. I don't know about you, John. Hardy really wants angel investing right now.
I remain positive about this experience, Fred. I think Sarge GPT is ready.
Well, Sarge,
Sup, Wallach.
Since Hardy came up with this whole thing, he's been trying to get all this, just a couple grand, get it on the ground floor. It's the new Tesla. He's like, I got a Cybertruck idea. It's going to be even uglier and stupider. And so here's the deal. is that we have full phone lines. People can't because
you
people love this stuff.
Yeah.
This is like the boom, guys, of technology. So what's going to happen, and it's going to go as smooth as butter.
Absolutely.
That's right, Sarge GPT. Thank you for making me feel better. I'm going to take a phone call. They're going to ask their question. Sarge is going to answer it, right?
Yeah.
Sarge
Yes.
GPT. All right, let's start with a familiar voice. All right. You got to pull that down even more.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. All right, so here we go. Dan from Newton. We love Dan from Newton. Dan, go ahead. What's your question?
Hey, I'm a fat, gross 70-year-old, and I got this crush on this hot, young chick. Should I take advantage of her daddy issues or leave this psychopath alone?
All right.
Sup, caller? This reminds me of the time Macho Man proposed to Miss Elizabeth. Saugus wings cure everything. Did Sarge GPT answer all your questions?
No.
Look out here. Don't worry about it.
Well, he didn't answer his call at all. No, you didn't. You just said random things about wrestling.
You just earned a dishonorable discharge from the Sarge.
See, now this is making me feel uncomfortable because I don't trust him. How many calls do you want me to take?
As many as possible.
No, there's only so much you beta test. You can't give it all away. Chase, hello.
Hey, what's up? Sarge.
Sup,
GPT.
caller?
A bunch of my buddies keep talking about how they're going to be going out with their wives, and I don't have anyone. So I was wondering if you had any suggestions of where I could find a lady of the night for maybe under $100, between $50 and $100.
What an interesting question. Let me think about that. When all else fails, consult a Kowloon fortune cookie. Did Sarge GPT answer all your questions?
No. Just said to go to Kowloon. All you said was to go to Kowloon.
Absolutely.
I don't know how many computer programs have to think and tell you they're thinking.
Correctamundo.
Yeah, there's not many. It's not great. Like, why? You're a computer. Why do you have to think? Why is there so much time between when you say things?
Sounds like you need a poo-poo platter.
Well, it couldn't hurt. All right. Well, listen, this is called Sarge GPT, you understand?
Sarge GPT here.
And so what you do, John, is you ask it questions about your... It's Hardy's beta testing.
Right.
Sarge GPT is booting up.
You already did that. Wait a minute.
You ask it... Well, he keeps shutting down, apparently.
Okay.
What?
Are we going to boot him up again?
I don't know. Listen, I'm not in charge of it. I got nothing to do with this.
Sup, Fred?
There's some kinks that need
All right.
working
This
out.
is not so much a romantic question, but it is it's from Gary Tangway.
Oh.
Gary Tangway, hello, sir.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Sup, caller?
Oh, Sarge, question for you. I was thinking about getting back into teaching next semester, wondering if this digital setup of yourself cover my classes. Beep, boop, beep.
Let me think about that. Like Roman Reigns once said, I am this show. I run this show. Acknowledge me.
It just seems like you have a random wrestling thought, regardless of what the question is. I mean, he was asking. Gary actually has texted me in real life and asked if he could help coach, take a class at Emerson. You're just going to sit up there. It doesn't matter. Just say whatever. Who cares? You get paid either way. Right, Sarge GPT?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sarge GPT, you know who Gary Tangway is?
No.
All right. Well, can we? How would I teach you that? How could I get you that information?
Like Iron Sheik once said, I'm the legend. I always be the legend.
All right. Well, that didn't answer anything.
That's a big N-O from Sarge GPT.
Okay. Well, you're self-effacing, if nothing else.
Correctamundo.
All right. How many more questions should I take, Sarge?
I would say 10 at least.
Just keep taking calls.
Hey, Sarge.
All right. This is, Mike, what you're dealing with now is Sarge GPT. It's a program that you ask.
Yes.
Right. It's AI. It's artificial intelligence. Do you have a question for Sarge GPT?
Yeah, my question is, I'm going on a first date, but my girlfriend hates Chinese food. Should I take it to a wrestling match? And also, if I have a wrestling championship belt, do I show it to her?
Oh, no. Did he boot? We have to boot him up again. Hold on.
Sarge GPT is booting up.
This seems right up your alley, Sarge. Where should he take his girl, and if he has a wrestling belt, should he wear it?
This Sarge?
Sarge GPT.
Sarge.
Let me think about that.
Okay, you think. This is, again, a...
Did you know Valentine's Day is in honor of Greg the Hammer Valentine?
Well, that wasn't even a Valentine's Day question so much as it was about wrestling. That was
Saugus wings cure everything.
Well, all right, John, now I have a problem with the program because everything was about wrestling until he was asked specifically about wrestling.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the time Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth were married.
All right, now you're starting to glitch.
This kind of mirrors real life, the wrestling stuff.
The answer lies within your Bret the Hitman heart.
All right. One last call. Because I think that this is not going to get many investors if you have to if I have to be completely honest.
It's AI, baby.
I know. But I'm as more skeptical maybe than I was going in about the AI's ability. Bob, I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed, but this is the last question for Sarge GPT.
Sup, Sarge?
Sup, caller?
So I have a question. I have a couple of young kids, and it's kind of hard to, kindle the romance at the end of the night.
Absolutely.
Do you think a Sarge salute would do the trick?
All right.
That earns you a Cyber Sarge salute of the day.
You didn't answer his question. You just said you liked it.
All right, it wasn't perfect, but,
it was
every
far from
journey
perfect.
begins with one step forward, Fred.
And now what was this called again? This whole exercise?
Sarge GPT here.
All right, very good. It was Sarge GPT.
GPT is booting up.
A lot of stops and starts.
You've got Sarge.
There's some kinks to work out.
There
for
are
sure.
several kinks to work out. I'm gonna even question the validity of its answers. It seemed to just be like you might as well shake in a magic 8-ball.
My algorithm operates with military-level precision.
No, but then the military's in big trouble, if you ask me.
Do it old country way. Make them humble.
Huh?
It's the Sarge GPT.
It's AI, baby.
It doesn't always make perfect sense.
All right, well, listen, it's over now. Get back
like
to the
Mean Gene Okerlund once said, you can't help the way you look.
That might have been more apropos.
Yeah, for the first guy
for one of the callers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got a lot of work to do, Sarge GPT.
No.
Yes, you do. Yeah. I'm not giving you any money. I'm as skeptical about AI as I was in the first place.
That's a big N-O from Sarge GPT.
Well, you can't tell me how to feel, Sarge GPT.
Sup, Fred?
Hey, Sarge. All right. Well, sadly, that's over.
Oh.
And there will be no more Sarge GPT today. You can email Hardy if you'd like to hear more from Sarge GPT.
Correctamundo.
Give you some investment advice. All right. Dane Brugler does a whole AI column for The Athletic where he feeds something into
AI, baby.
Into a Mike Lombardi computer, and he comes out with a mock draft that is going on right now. We will talk to him next.
Sarge GPT signing off.
listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
amount of pass rush right now.
The bandwidth. It's sort of like Sarge GPT in that sense.
Absolutely.
All right, Sarge. You've fooled me, Sarge.
Would you like to take a brief 30-minute survey about your Sarge GPT experience?
No, I can't. We have Dane Brugler on the phone. Dane, when does the Beast come out?
I get to a certain point where it's like, all right, there's 400 guys in here, ranked over 2,000 players. Let's share it. Let's get it out there. So it'll be probably that first week in April. Give it 3 good weeks before the draft. But yeah, it's working night and day right now to get that thing done.
Is there a danger of working on it too much and you start overthinking it and saying, you know what, the first analysis of this or the first opinion you had on it is the right one and there's no sense in messing with it too much?
Well, I mean, look, there's always one more tape you could watch, and for me, and I think for every scout, it's one of the challenges is to understand when you have the player, when okay, this is who he is.
Yeah.
One more tape's not going to change that. And so for me, really all the hay's in the barn at this point. It's more about just the volume of players, making sure you're looking under every single rock, making sure, you're finding the Julian Edelman, you're finding the guys that are lesser known at this point in the process. Everybody knows about the first round guys and the second round guys, but this is about finding anybody that is going to have a shot at the next level. And, there's some, whether it's a small school player, whether it's someone that didn't have a high profile in college, and then just identifying the guys that are the top testers, the combine and the pro days is trying to figure those guys out who maybe didn't have the best college career for one reason or another, but they're NFL athletes, and those guys have a chance to make it because of the level of athleticism they bring.
Okay, let's, this isn't the world's greatest draft, Dane, as everyone knows, and the quarterback talent, and even according to your rankings, is not exceptionally high. How wonky could the first round go? Because, there's so much debate outside of a couple guys. What if do you think there's a chance no one takes a quarterback in the top 5? Do you think that there's a surprise earlier in the draft than you usually see?
I would be surprised only because the Giants are picking top 5, and it just feels like they've backed themselves into a corner where they have to draft a quarterback unless they make a big move for a Matthew Stafford or a free agent or a trade for a veteran quarterback like that. The Giants are in a position where it just feels like they have to roll the dice on one of these guys. But I do think, to your point, it's going to be, even if, say, the Giants take Cam Ward at 3, where Shedeur Sanders goes is very much in the air. And there are a lot of different scenarios where, you could see him going 6 to the Raiders. You could see him going, the Browns at 2. You can't completely rule out. But this draft is closer to that Kenny Pickett draft than what we saw last year. And up until that Kenny Pickett draft, I'm reaching out to all my buddies in the league asking, hey, where are these quarterbacks going to go? And every single response was, I don't know, but they're going to go. They're going to go. They always go. And, of course, they didn't. Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback drafted in the first 73 picks in that draft. So this year it's similar to that, where up until draft day, I don't think anybody's going to have a clear understanding of where these quarterbacks are going to end up and ultimately how many go top 10 and even in the first round. So I think it'll be an exciting – it's not going to be a great draft for mock drafts, but it's going to be a really fun draft when we get to that Thursday night and we see it play out in real time.
What if you had more running backs taken than quarterbacks in the first round? Hachi-machi. Is anyone with pro days and the combine and everything, is there any quarterback that could pass Sanders in your opinion?
Sure. I mean, I think, we have to understand that each team is very different with how they view these guys. It's not a draft where you're going to have a clear-cut top 3 like we had last year with Caleb and Jane Daniels and Drake. this year quarterback one's wide open. I think just, gauging a lot of the feelings around the league, Cam Ward is the favorite to be the first quarterback drafted, but even that's not set in stone for every single team. And that's what, right now, as we speak, all the area scouts are back in the facility. They're doing their draft meetings. They're building a preliminary board, and they're having these debates, where the area scout's going to present a player, and then, the cross-checkers and the national scouts and, the directors, they all add input. And at the end of the day, they put them on the board, and then we go into the combine, and that'll maybe tweak some things a little bit. But they build a preliminary board now, so there's a frame of reference going into the combine and pro days. And so it'll be interesting to see once the biggest variable is once coaches get involved, because I could know how every area scout feels about a quarterback, but once coaches get involved, that could change the math a little bit. Once, the play caller, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, if they don't vibe with a quarterback, then it's not going to work. Or say they have a really good interview with a quarterback, then that changes things too. So, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, he could be in that mix for quarterback too. To me, teams are going to be looking for that next Bo Nix. Bo Nix wasn't supposed to be the 12th overall pick. He wasn't supposed to be a rookie that led his team to the playoffs, and he did both those things. And Denver fans are understandably optimistic about what he has going for the future. So teams are going to be looking for who's that Bo Nix this year, and I think Jackson Dart checks a lot of those boxes. Even though I don't think he has the same arm talent, I don't think he's nearly as NFL ready. It wouldn't be surprising if a team talked themselves into Dart at some point in the first round.
As the Patriots have the 4th overall pick, and it seems more and more like Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter will be gone, as well as one of the quarterbacks. So it's a big mystery as to where the Patriots can go from there. Everyone seems to extol the virtues of Will Campbell as a tackle, but some project him as a guard. You also have a pass rusher from Georgia as very highly ranked on your board. Do you think either one of them would be a fit for the Patriots at 4?
Yeah, and when I put together my top 100, 1 and 2 were pretty easy, kind of like you mentioned with Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. And then that third spot was really wide open. And, I love Mason Graham from Michigan, but I don't think he's not like a Quinnen Williams type of defensive tackle. He's really good. I'm a big fan, but, he's not exactly like a slam dunk top 3 pick. Will Campbell, I think he's the best offensive lineman in the draft, but, not a perfect prospect by any means. I think between prospects 3 and 12, there's not a ton of difference between those guys. I think you can make an argument why any of those players should be the 3rd off the board. And, with the Patriots, you try not to think too much about need when you're picking, especially top 5. Just get an impact player. That's what it should be about. And so you don't want to overthink about reaching for a need, but Will Campbell will be in that conversation. Jalen Walker, the Georgia pass rusher, who's a little bit of a project just because he was an off-ball player in college. But what he did best was when they let him rush the passer. He's long, he's explosive. I think he's going to make a nice transition to edge rusher in the NFL, but every scheme's going to look at him a little bit differently. I think maybe best case scenario is a team like the Raiders. Maybe there's a different team, the Jets. Who knows? A team that wants to get up in the draft a little bit, maybe get their quarterback, and the Patriots could possibly move back 4 or 5 spots and still get the player that had their eye on at number 4.
Dane, you mentioned that when coaches get involved in this process, things can change. With regard to Shedeur Sanders, what do you think, other than an interview, a coach might say that would differ than what's been presented to that coach from the scouts on tape? What would a coach's concern be when it comes to that player?
Yeah, and I think it's mostly the board work. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, and understanding. We can watch all the tape, but when you actually figure out what makes a player tick, just the way that they see the field, the way that they, what were they asked to do at the college level, and then how is that going to fit with what we're going to ask him to do as a rookie, and then just personality wise, it's one of those things where. you have to feel good about a quarterback going into a veteran locker room and, not and being okay leading in that moment. And, it's kind of like a speed dating thing. You have to really get a good feeling for a guy based off of, a short amount of time at the combine, but then that's when you have the 30 visits and you bring them into the facility and you try to get to know them more. And so, it's really a feeling out process that, a player could have a really good day and interview really well, or he could have a bad day. It's just kind of how the process works. And, we've had plenty of examples of, front offices that really like a player, a quarterback, but maybe the coaches don't. And, for a lot of smart teams, that's kind of a deal breaker. For other teams, the front office is going to say, hey, we're going to draft our quarterback and, you're going to make it work. I remember they did that in Washington. Dan Snyder wanted Dwayne Haskins. And so that's the move they made. And Jay Gruden, that was not the quarterback he wanted. And, obviously it was doomed from the start with that situation. So, it's something where if you're a team that needs a quarterback, you better hope you're all aligned from front office to coach. And, that's something that will come about over time throughout all of these steps of the next 2 months.
All right. So give us a diamond in the rough. Give us a kid from like a small school that is impressed.
When I was at the Shrine Bowl, Thomas Perry from Middlebury in Vermont, D3, all right, like it's not even like Mount Union or Wisconsin Whitewater D3. This is Vermont D3, where it's just a much lower level of D3 play. But tell you, Thomas Perry, the center, he was outstanding. I mean, he's short, squatty, but strong as an ox. He moves well. Any day now, the combine invite list is going to come out, and we're kind of waiting to see if Thomas Perry is going to get that invite. If he doesn't, it'll be a snub, because he's one of the strongest players in the draft, if not the strongest player in the draft. He has got a legitimate chance to make it. In the world of transfers, he had some options, but he wanted to stay, finish his degree. But yeah, Thomas Perry, D3 Middlebury. Up in the New England area, he's got a chance to make it in the NFL, which not a lot of D3 guys can do that.
Yeah, so he had opportunities to go to D1 programs and stuff, and he just was like, I'm going to stay here. How did people find out about him?
Yeah, it was back to the last off season is when I first heard about him. Going to camps and things like that. And yeah, he had options. I mean, there were several schools that reached out to, I know that family, the organization, the people that he trains with. But yeah, he wanted to stay put, and it's just, kind of and when we've seen that before. I mean, I remember talking to Tyson Bagent at Shepherd before he was drafted or undrafted, but became the backup with the Bears. Maryland wanted him, Northwestern wanted him, but he wanted to finish his degree. And, when you transfer, you lose a lot of those credits. And if you're just transferring for 1 year, you're not going to get your degree. And so a lot of guys choose to stay and get their degree. And they know if they're good enough, the NFL will find them. But he did not look out of place at Shrine Bowl practices. And then I went and saw him. He's working out with Duke Manyweather at O-Line Masterminds. And, I was talking to Duke about him, and Duke tries to get to the facility at 4 a.m. just to get a head start before guys show up. And Thomas is at the door waiting for him every morning. So he's a guy that really wants to be the best, and he's got a lot of abilities. So I think he's got a shot.
All right. Well, Dane Brugler, stay in touch as we go through this process. As you said, it should be a very interesting draft. There could be so much, turmoil at the top. Who knows? It's great talking to you. Thank you so much for the time.
Anytime, guys. Thanks.
All right. We appreciate it. There you go. Dane Brugler.
The Beast, due out in early April.
Yeah.
400. And if you want to know what position guys played in Little League, he will tell you.
No, it goes back to middle school for a lot of these guys.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He does more work than anybody.
It's funny because you can't even get a scholarship to a D3, an athletic scholarship to a D3 school.
There are ways around it, but yeah, technically that's true.
Yeah, I'm sure there's ways around it, but they're a pain in the ass.
Yes.
And you got to show, I'm sure, academic need and stuff. There's That's very interesting.
Yeah.
D3.
There's only been one D3 guy I can think of that has really made a sizable impact. Won a Super Bowl. The guy's name is Ali Marpet from my old school. Was an offensive lineman for Tampa Bay.
Where did you go to school?
Hobart College.
Oh.
Western New York State.
But I've heard of Hobart. I never heard of where this kid went. It's just interesting because, like, Babson's a D3 school.
Yep.
I could see, like, a baseball player.
Well, that happens a lot.
That happens all the time.
D3 guys. Oh, yeah,
that happens
a lot.
all the time. It's interesting football because,
Yeah.
like, it's such a business at that level. Like,
I don't want to go. That's the wild thing. I want to finish my degree, and that's admirable. But if your ultimate goal is the NFL, and you
probably
show out like that at Senior Bowl practice, and you're given an opportunity to face better competition instead of bowling over guys who are going to be, stockbrokers next week.
Well, you can't be in the Shrine Bowl until you're a senior. So maybe he felt like it wasn't realistic and that he needed to get a degree, and he didn't want to disrupt his life. And then, sure enough, his senior year, they invite him to the East-West Shrine Bowl, and he goes and he's like, Jesus Christ, I can block against these guys. And now everything gets turned. I mean, it could be that kind of situation. He probably never thought in a million years that he was going to get a chance.
So if you have high major schools knocking on your door.
Yeah, but they could also be knocking on your door and going like, hey, are you interested? And then you look at their depth chart and you'll go like, I'm going to be the third. It might have even hurt him to go to a D1 school.
That's true. Could have been that.
Because you get in as you're not that well thought of. You're a transfer. They got 8 other transfers coming in on the offensive line. There's many things you're not thinking about, John, which is really concerning to me. I don't know how you're going to navigate your children's athletic careers with that kind of attitude.
I'll give you a call.
All right.
Well, he had that Hobart information, though, at the ready, though, didn't he?
He absolutely did. He's very proud of that.
Yes, I am.
Ever kid out of Bryant football?
There was one guy who actually played for the Detroit Lions. Tom Kennedy was a wide receiver.
Of course.
Bryant.
We used to call him
TK.
TK.
No. You know what we called him? We called him the Bobber. Bobby Kennedy. I don't know. All right. So we'll be back in just
Another
a moment.
home run.
Thank you. We'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub.
It's called rising and grinding.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Toucher or is that Hardy?
Kinda looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Be listening at the end of this segment for your chance to score a pair of tubing passes and $50 gift card for Neshoba Valley Ski Area. Spend your February vacation skiing, tubing, dining, dancing, and celebrating by the fireplace at Boston's own winter playland, Neshoba Valley Ski Area in Westford, Mass. Get your passes at ski.neshoba.com. You know who I went tubing with at Neshoba?
Can't imagine.
Did you hear that? It gapped right there.
That was perfect.
That was perfect. It's almost a sign from God to relay this information. Adolfo Gonzalez.
Oh,
man.
Me and Adolfo, side
I bet
by
he
side.
tore up those slopes, man. Was he doing tricks? Tubing tricks?
He was I will give him credit. He went tubing with me.
All right.
But that was the trip.
Did you pay for it?
Yeah. No, it was Crash was doing an appearance there. and we went
okay.
with him.
All right.
Showed you where my marriage was at. And this was back at PCN.
Has Adolfo reached out to you? He had posted that
He
he's
reached
coming
out
back
during
in May.
Yeah, he reached out he reaches out almost every day.
That's great.
Yeah, he reached out during the Sarge thing.
Very excited that he is coming back this spring. Be great to have Adolfo back.
Well, and he has confirmed he is coming in studio.
Excellent.
Oh, good.
And I'm not paying for any of this. This is all on his own dime.
Where's he staying?
He's been fixing phones like crazy then, huh?
He said he's staying in the city.
Oh, all right.
And so, like, I don't know. He'll probably ask me for money at some point, but
probably.
He did this without even like talking to me. He's like, "Are you going to be around?" He's
Great.
coming. He likes some podcast with you're not going to know who the guys are, and I can't remember their names, but he likes some podcast that they referenced when he was on this show. Hey, real quick, I figured out podcast, and then we'll get to Bregman. We'll have a couple of minutes. That's all we need. Is that, you know, when podcasts are good, it's when they're not a radio show, because those are terrible. When a podcast is an interview or a radio show, it's awful, and there's no reason for it. There's one that a listener sent me once a time at Bennington College. When they're a enclosed story with like several voices and they're telling a linear tale and there's like music and like evidence, like that's the medium. That's what they should be, because this one's fascinating. If you want to check it out, it's like about these kids that went to this crazy ass college. Bret Easton Ellis, these 3 Gen X authors went there, and it was da-da-da-da. But when it's presented like that, because you can't do that on the radio.
No, the ones that, and I'm with you, Fred, the ones that I end up listening to and have listened to multiple times are the ones that are like either a deep dive investigative thing, Serial or S-Town or something like that. I'm listening to one right now that is true crime. Okay, who cares? A million of these. There's no narrator. The narrator comes on at the beginning and says, this is the last time you'll hear my voice. And instead, the entire story is told by witnesses, people who knew the woman who died, and their reactions to finding out, and some, like officials, but there's no explanation. And it's really like an impressive way of telling the story that you couldn't do on the radio. There's no way you could do this on the radio, but the amount of time it takes to like edit, put this thing together, months, maybe even years on some of those things, that's worth hours of my time. Just 2 people sitting around talking about, sports or doing an interview. I'm like, no, there's people on the radio who do this every day who do it better. Why would I go out of my way to listen to a podcast version of that?
Yeah, that's not live. See, like Disgraceland, we've had that guy on, and he tells like these encapsulated stories about like degenerate musician behavior.
It's Jake Brennan, yeah. That's a good podcast.
So like that's when I heard this, because someone's like, listen to this. It's like this Once Upon a Time at Bennington College. I guess they did one about porn before it. But like when I walked the dog and I found myself not wanting to stop walking the dog. It was a 45-minute podcast. And I said, well, this is the thing. They set it up, then Bret Easton Ellis is talking, and then they set something else up, and the woman's talking, and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's a linear audio story that would not be attainable if you did not have the ability to podcast. Therefore, that has launched itself into something important. You've taken technology and you've created something that wouldn't be available to others if this technology did not exist. But a 4-hour interview with the same guy from 5,000 interviewers, right, I could care less about. And they wouldn't, and you go, well why keep talking about? Because they bother me. Because the Haktua girl, her explaining her crypto scam has come up on my Instagram maybe 100 times. And the fact that the Haktua girl has made any money with her voice is very upsetting to me. At first, I was pro Haktua girl. I wanted her on. Well, no, I thought she was charming. I wanted her on stage. Like, if she wants to be on stage with Luke Bryan, that's great. If she throws out the first pitch at the Mets game, that's fantastic. Let her have, enjoy this fame. She was funny. She's, charming. Oh, shucks. She worked at a mattress factory in Tennessee, or wherever the hell she's from. It was, a good story. There were enough people that hated her that it was kind of fun. Because you're you loser. What do you hate her for? But then all of a sudden you get a podcast and you're ripping people off with crypto. It's everything that's wrong with it. Her arc is everything that's wrong with the internet. Charming girl says something funny. Sure, you do a couple of appearances, do bar gigs, whatever, great. But then now I got a podcast. Now, okay, well, that's stupid, but whatever, I'll ignore it. But now I'm into crypto, which is a total stupid. I know people have made money on it, but I don't understand it, and I'm not going to do it. But then she goes into some crypto scam, and then it falls, and then now she's in trouble. Now she gets on her podcast, and her talking about her crypto scam. What moron is investing real money in Haktua girl coin? What moron thinks that's not a pump and dump thing? Those are penny stocks. 50 Cent got in trouble one time for pumping penny stocks. And I thought, when I heard him interviewed about it, and I thought he should be able to do that. If anyone's dumb enough to dump money into a novelty penny stock that are completely unregulated, then have
50
fun.
50 Cent told you to.
Yeah, he cares about, 50 Cent's a great businessman, a tremendous businessman.
Oh, yeah. Vitamin water, right?
Oh, everything. I mean, that guy's got a head on his
Vitamin
shoulders.
Water first, though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's got a head on his shoulders. He's real wealthy.
Yep.
But but that was everything that was terrible. That Haktua thing really got to me. And I think it got to Howard Stern, too. And we're about equals. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, Fred, I got a good one for you. True crime. If you're familiar with Peter Ivers, the punk rock guy.
Oh, I read the book. Yeah. Go ahead.
Awesome true crime podcast. Done very well, and the story's very compelling. If you ever get a chance to look that one up, Peter and the Acid King. Give it a shot.
Yes, and that is very interesting. Thank you, because I recently, I'm going to give it to Adam 12 because he can't afford it. I'm going to give him this book. Peter Ivers hosted this local access punk show in Los Angeles, but it's a way deeper story than that. And he was murdered, and then when the police finally came to his downtown apartment, there were just people walking around taking stuff. Not criminals.
Right.
People that knew him.
Yeah.
Walking around taking stuff. And he was very good friends with the recently deceased director, David Lynch.
That's right.
In fact, he wrote the song in Eraserhead.
Oh.
That no one likes.
In heaven.
And everyone, what a movie that everyone can pretend to like all together. Caller number 10 to the contest line, 617-931-0985. Will score a pair of tubing passes and a $50 gift card for Neshoba Valley Ski Area. Spend your February vacation skiing, tubing, dining, dancing, and celebrating by the fireplace at Boston's own winter playland, Neshoba Valley Ski Area in Westford, Mass. Get your passes at skineshoba.com. All right, coming up, Phil Perry. He's not in studio? He is in studio.
He will be in studio.
Is he here?
I've not seen him yet.
Well, why get here 4 minutes early?
All right. He's not going to Bert Breer this thing, is he?
I don't think that we're being taken seriously.
No,
all right, we'll be back in just a moment with our friend Phil Perry.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, guys, if you're dealing with a
.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is your home for every Patriots game.
Look into the end zone, trying to keep the play alive. Falling down, he throws to the end zone. It's caught. He's got it. Touchdown.
WBZFM at HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub. A Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox finally got the much-needed right-handed bat they needed for their lineup late last night. After doing the contract dance with free agent Alex Bregman all winter, they finally signed him to a 3-year, $120 million contract. There are opt-outs after each of the first 2 seasons of the deal, and about $30 million of that is deferred. The expectation is he will play second base for his new team. Former Sox pitcher Nick Pivetta also signed late last night. He's going to San Diego on a new 4-year, $55 million contract. The Celtics went into the All-Star break with a win last night, 116-103 over San Antonio. The Green raced away to a 24-point lead and never looked back. Joe Mazzulla's team also held Victor Wembanyama to 17 points.
All teams have different strengths and versatilities defensively, so we're very fortunate that we have 2 guys that can, 2 centers that can shoot on the perimeter, and so it allows us to be a little bit more, versatile and creative in what we're able to do. But every game presents different puzzles, and we just have to continue to solve those, and they change within the game.
Jason Tatum had 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists in the win. The Four Nations face-off began in Montreal last night. Team Canada took the opening game. They beat Sweden in overtime 4-3. Mitch Marner, the game winner at 6:06 of extra time. Brad Marchand added a goal for the Canadian team. Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, and Team USA play Finland out in Montreal tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Yankee Custom. They have everything you need to outfit your truck, van, or SUV. Yankee Custom is the largest retail inventory in New England with locations across New England. Visit yankeecustomtruck.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Score to the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, listen, if you've got to go, we understand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Toucher and Hardy.
That's what I want on my tombstone.
On the Sports Hub.
He's never been a scout. He's never been a personnel director. He's never evaluated college talent. The one year that they gave him semi-command of the roster, they took a guard with the 11th overall pick. Not only did they take a guard with the 11th overall pick, they took a guard who sucks.
Who's that?
That is Jared Stillman talking about Mike Vrabel drafting with the Titans.
So he's a sports talk guy in Nashville, I guess, and he was down with Felger Maz, who it was very funny when they first did the hire. And it was like, all right, Patriots got their guy, Mike Vrabel. He's the most sought after head coach on the market. And this one guy in Tennessee is like, oh, let me tell you all the reasons why you don't want that in New England. Let me refresh everybody's memory.
I've had people tell me the same thing, explain his record and what he got into and how he effed it up. And then when he had one of his reasonings, he had Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and all this. And then when he lost them, they sucked. I don't know. It's Phil Perry's here. I'll do my thing next. I'll do what I had planned in the next break. Okay. Phil for 2 breaks. Are these valid? Is Tennessee just butthurt about him, or are these valid concerns about him? I just saw something in The Athletic where they asked a bunch of front office and coach guys who they thought the best hire was, and Vrabel won by a lot.
Yeah, and then more than one place. A lot of people think.
And then it was Ben Johnson and Pete Carroll tied, which surprised me. And then it was Aaron Glenn, and then the 2
Pete
rejects.
Carroll? Really?
Yeah, I guess because we're going in a million directions, but I will do this. We'll get to Vrabel because there's plenty to talk about. I want to ask Phil this. Do you think it's interesting that Pete Carroll was hired by Tom Brady? He's older than Bill Belichick, and that Brady could have hired Belichick. There's no doubt about it. Belichick would have taken that job. Do you think that that's odd?
I don't think it's odd at all. It doesn't surprise me if that's what you're asking. I just think people would rather work with Pete Carroll at this point than Bill Belichick. I think it's a pretty simple answer.
And when I saw it, I was like, this is weird. But then we went over it on the air, but then I looked at Pete Carroll's coaching record, and it's outside of the Jets, which you're going to suck at. And he probably shouldn't have been fired from there either because they went to Rich Kotite after him. But like if you who didn't win, like legitimately did not win the games, he's never been bad. Right? Like, he's always been good. Like, he's never coached outside of the Jets, really, a bad team. Like, even a singular bad team.
He was 500 here, right, Phil? For the 2 or 3 years he was here?
Yeah,
500.
He actually, I think his last season, he was he 8-9?
8
last season?
Yeah, I'm talking about like a 4-12 year. Like, I'm talking about like a tanked year. Like, he was always okay, at least. So, it is interesting that, you know, so many of the fans of the Patriots, I'm sure, crapped on you. They crapped on, you know, all these people say Belichick's a dick. Like, he's a dick, he's a dick, he's a dick. And they're like, oh. And now the guy can't get a job because he's a dick. And Pete Carroll, who's got 5 less Super Bowl wins than him, is running around with a job with his ex-quarterback. And Bill Belichick's yanking Lombardi's crank in North Carolina, if I may be so bold.
It is interesting. And I think people look at Pete Carroll not only as a little bit easier to work with, you know, there were all of those questions when Bill interviewed with the Falcons. Is he just going to come in and blow everybody out? Is he going to come in and just be so difficult to work with, so insular that nobody even really knows what's going on with the most important decisions of the organization? Whereas Pete Carroll is not only going to be a little bit easier as far as some of that stuff goes, but he's also viewed as this culture builder, right? In a very different kind of culture than Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick at his height was viewed as a culture guy too, but that was a hard-nosed, grind-you-down kind of culture, whereas Pete Carroll is more, it's all competition, babe, and it's this breathless sort of optimism every single day. We come into practice, we're going to do our best, we're going to have fun out here.
And Belichick's culture is, look, I don't want to say definitively, but it seems like it is best built after you've already won. And that's a culture you can buy into when you can point to winning as a reason why you should buy into this culture.
Or point to Brady and go, look at how I'm mistreating him. You should take it too.
Carroll, who's done a fair amount of winning, I think his culture is more easy to swallow, even without the track record of success to point to it, because he's a nicer guy.
That's a fair one, too, and why it was so important for the Patriots to win when they did in 2001 and for Tom Brady to be as good as he was as soon as he got the job, because Bill Belichick was on the verge of losing his job. I mean, remember how that started. Year 1, 5 wins. Year 2, it doesn't look good. Suddenly Brady comes in and they make this incredible run. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think you have to be able to put the rings on the table as Matt Patricia did. Was it rings or Lombardi trophies in Detroit?
It was rings.
It was rings?
Yeah.
And say, this is why you're going to listen to me. You guys don't know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and he immediately alienated the team. And just one last thing on Belichick, and I don't know, but the more I think about it, like the whole story, because you mentioned something about like him firing everyone. The whole story about Atlanta was that the McKay guy was nervous that Belichick was going to usurp his power and then worked on Blank. And I'm sure that was a factor in it. But Arthur Blank wants to win before he dies. And I got to think that something Belichick did. Like he's not going to just completely. My point is this: guys in his position, I don't think he's not the son of a rich guy. Like, he built the business. He's the multi-billionaire. Like, and McKay goes like, hey, don't hire him. I don't think that like something Belichick did turned him off personally. I have to believe that.
Turned who off personally? The owner?
Yeah, Blank. That Blank. I'm sure McKay was like, don't do it because for his own self-interest. Yeah, but Arthur Blank is the kind of guy that I have to think that he values his own opinion as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's not completely, giving up all his thought to this consigliere.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Right?
Listen, I think it was McKay and others. I think that's what probably made it hard on Arthur Blank, is that there's like 4 layers of leadership before you get to ownership from the football operations level. There's Terry Fontenot. They had a chair of the board. Then they had McKay. I think there was even one other, president of the team. Like, there was all these different layers of, red tape to be able to communicate with the owner.
And they all universally, this is only what I read, Blank wanted him bad, flew him in there with the intent of hiring him, and then everyone, all of those layers, took him aside and said, don't do that.
I think that makes it harder, even for somebody who's his age, Fred, because you've built this thing and you've built your organization in a certain way, and you have all these people that you trust, that you've hired, that you're paying good money to, and if they all come to you and say, this is about to get torn down, we're all about to be out the door, and you're going to have to just work with this guy and just put it in his hands.
If you put it that way,
hard.
I agree with you. That's probably how it went down. But that speaks to Belichick too. See, the way it's been described a lot of times is McKay was behind the scenes, like, sneaking around and like with his own self-interest. But if you're talking about that there's layers of people that are like, dude, if you hire him, he's going to blow us all out and you're going to be on your own, that's legitimate. And also, I will say this. I don't have any information of it. In fact, all the information is counter to this. But I think if Bill Belichick went in and blew Arthur Blank away, blew him away, and he was like, I can't believe how impressed I am with this guy. What a presence. Like, he's radiating charisma. This is like, he sold me a monorail. Like, that he would have leaned on the opinion of others. You think Belichick is an impressive interviewee at this stage in his life?
No, I do not.
I think he could be. I think it's just his reputation that he carries with him.
I think
Obviously,
he can hand
you
a big dossier of like what he wants to do, but as a personality sitting across from you,
I do think he has it in him to charm you. I really do. I've seen it.
Stockholm syndrome.
I've seen it.
But
I've experienced it.
I mean,
he does have that in him. He doesn't do it at the microphone, but he does have that ability.
I need
it's
to
why
know
all these people that
how he charmed you in some way, shape, or form.
He can look and act and speak like a normal guy.
Is it Stockholm syndrome though? At that point, is that because you've been treated so poorly? Then when he's finally nice to you,
this was early in my tenure on the beat. It was not like
What
he
year?
had been mean to me for like 5 years, and then finally he said hi to me, and all of a sudden I felt good about myself. No, I think the first time we had a long conversation was my first year full time on the beat. One-on-one conversation was 2014.
All right, so 11 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, so it might be different now. You might be right,
but
it's
just
a different age now.
It's my Bobby Knight theory is that like when ex-players of Bobby Knight go like, oh, da-da-da-da, it's because Bobby Knight treats you a certain way, and then once you're out of his program, he acts differently, and so it's like this. It's a tactic. It's something you can do in your own life.
Might be happening with Brady right now. Right? Like the conversations he's having with Tom Brady now are far different than the ones
absolutely.
They were having, towards the tail end of his Patriots tenure.
If someone treats you is in a position of power and treats you like crap for a very, very long time, when they break like kayfabe, when they go and like break character and treat you like a human being, it can be like a euphoric feeling. Like this oppressor now. There's a name for it. Stockholm syndrome. You fall in love with your captor. It's that thing. But you were early on the beat, and you don't think his reputation preceded him, that you were surprised that you had never seen him talk this way.
No, because I knew that he had done this with other people before. Obviously, Tom Curran I work closely with every day. He has had for many years. He had conversations like that with Bill Belichick and others on the beat. And so it's somewhere there in him. You just don't see it very often.
Very good.
Well, how did we get onto this? Mike Vrabel somehow?
Yeah,
I can't track. I can't keep
the
up.
The guy from Tennessee was the no one can. I'm working at it.
I really.
I'm in another
It's an impressive.
sphere.
You're an impressive specimen. That's all.
Nick, make a video. and put it on Hinge. Put it on my Hinge.
It's a 2.5 second video. It's a good looking guy like Phil Perry.
Yeah.
Looking at Fred and says, "You're an impressive specimen," and then cut to Fred, and maybe give Nick a different shot of your face right now. And cut. That's all you need.
I can't deny it. When I see it, I just got to call it like it is.
You want to see my impression of Dan Roach? Thank you,
That's
ladies.
very good. It's very good.
That's really
That's my impression of Dan Roach.
Yeah.
Very good.
We're going to see him here next week.
He has that phony biting his lips smile.
Has he slept since the news broke last night?
Oh,
Probably.
Bregman, no, not a chance.
I think he'll be a little skeptical about that.
He wishes he was in Fort Myers. I'll tell you that right now.
No, they screw him when they don't send him to Fort Myers. But anyway, we're way off topic again. And it was you making fun of me for doing it. And Phil, you started it up again.
Sorry.
All right. So does the guy from Tennessee have a point? Is he being sold as too much of a can't miss situation?
Well, I do think he was the best hire this year, so I would agree with the Athletic piece that you read. I think it was Jeff Howe who put that one together. Jared from Nashville, I've heard him say he thinks Mike Vrabel's a good coach. So that's sort of like his overarching view of Mike Vrabel. I've also heard him say he's very much like Bill in terms of how he operates. So he's going to want his guys, and he's going to trust very few people, and and I can't say that. I haven't covered Mike Vrabel in that way, and so I don't know his personality as well as others. But talking to people who do know him, it does sound like there are going to be Bill elements to how he coaches, and that's what to me makes this offseason so interesting, is what does he prioritize? Because for Bill, it got to the point at some point where he only wanted to work with people that he liked. Paying people was always part of the equation for him in terms of how is this going to impact our culture? How is it going to impact the room? And so free agency, there were some years where he would blow it out of the water and he'd make a big splash signing, or he'd make a big deal, add a Darrelle Revis or Stephon Gilmore. And there were other years where it was lackluster because he didn't want to tweak too much of whatever that thing was in the locker room from his point of view. And so we don't really know how Vrabel's going to handle it. And that to me is the most interesting thing about this offseason with him, is because they obviously have a lot of work to do. He has a very difficult, in my opinion, needle to thread, which is how do you add as much talent as humanly possible, because they need it, while also developing the culture that you want to develop. Because that stuff the money stuff does impact the culture stuff. And so if you go out and you give T. Higgins $35 million a year, and he's your highest paid player, and he's never won a thing, and he has a hard time staying on the field because he deals with soft tissue injuries every year now, how does the rest of the room look at that? How does Vrabel look at that? Does he even want to look at that? Does he even consider it? Despite their need at receiver and their need for talent, does he look at it and say, that's not what my program is going to be about, so we're not going to do that?
Let's expand on this so it's interesting. So if T. Higgins, they sign him, and he's making $35 million a year, how does that influence the locker room? Like, what does that do? In your experience, I'm not around the locker room.
Well, I think when you have anybody, listen, however you decide to do it, your highest paid player, like it or not, necessarily indicates what you value as a program, as a coach, as a front office.
And that's the way it's looked at by the players.
Yeah, no question. Oh, if this is what T. Higgins is doing, then maybe I should just do what he's doing, and then I'll get rewarded. I'll get paid too. And if that means sitting out 5 games every year because I got a sore hammy, then that means sitting out 5 games every year. That's okay, because that's what that guy does, and he's our star player. That's part of the reason why Tom Brady was as valuable as he was to Bill Belichick. He was their best player, their hardest worker, and there was a cap on how much money he was going to make. And so everybody had to slot in behind him.
Is it dependent on who the high-priced players are, or are there going to be questions and issues with the culture regardless of who that person is, making a lot more money than anyone else? Because like the injury thing and the T. Higgins thing, that's an easy one. He's never won anything.
He also might not be your best player when you sign him, right?
Might not be the best player. Yeah. Well, and
so there's issues right there.
Right.
You've got, Christian Gonzalez is looking at him saying, well, I better make at least that much when my contract comes up.
Right.
And Drake May saying, I got to make 50% more than that when my contract comes up. I'm way more important than
I guess answer my own question. It doesn't have to be as an extreme case as T. Higgins. It could be anybody making a lot of money. There's going to be issues with if you're trying to develop culture at the same time.
We already saw it this past offseason where Christian Barmore gets this massive deal, right? And he's your most valuable player from a dollar figure standpoint. And then what happens immediately thereafter is you get guys that are pissed about their contracts, whether it's Josh Uche or Devon Godshaw, who ultimately did get another contract. But guys look at this stuff from afar and say, hey, if he's making that much, how much am I worth? Like, let's get back to the table here. And so you do just have to be, I think you have to be careful in terms of what you're willing to spend on, because it does send a message. And when you are in this very precarious position that Vrabel's in, where you are at the nascent stages of your program and what you want your culture to be, everything you do sends a message. And you do have to take heed when it comes to doing that.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to go to break.
I do, but if you have something quick.
It just the market as it is, they understand wide receivers are going to get more money. So that's knowledge in the locker room. So doesn't that factor in?
But what wide receiver? His point is that if you're missing 5 games a year and you've been rewarded with that contract, that you could do the same.
And there's not a big backlog of you being even a number one. Right. You haven't been the number one on your own team. He's got 6 games without Jamar Chase on the field, and he's performed well there. But I just think they need help. They know where the market's going. They know the cap is increasing. It might be why they ultimately swallow hard and pay T. Higgins $30+ million a year. I just think Mike Vrabel is going to...
The alternative, though, isn't good because you need wide receivers.
No question. And he knows that, too, as somebody who knew how much, A.J. Brown mattered to that Titans team. It's just a difficult balance for him to try to strike. That's all.
Or you could draft a wide receiver and have a 99.9% chance, if you're not Bill Belichick, to have that receiver, if you draft him high enough, be effective.
I got my fingers crossed.
This is
seen
a
lot
new
of bad
regime.
wide receivers in the wake here.
Well, yeah, because of Bill Belichick. He's the one who said today N'Keal Harry because he didn't like the way A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel were ass grabbing during the interview.
And
That's what happened.
Then you have Jalen Polk drafted by the guy who's in charge now.
Well, Vrabel's in charge.
Yeah, Vrabel's in. Oh,
okay.
yeah. Oh, Elliot Wolf? Yeah, Vrabel's in charge.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about Elliot
Okay.
Wolf. All right. Elliot Wolf took Drake May. You're all right. He doesn't get any credit for that. I'm not having the argument again. It's not with you. It's with the listeners. All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're an
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and we have Phil Perry in studio. Before he came on the first break, he was talking about, culture now and the threat of AI. You were.
I was. We were having a good discussion.
We were actually having a serious discussion, and it didn't even occur to me until after the discussion that it's time to tempt the beast.
Sarge GPT reporting for duty.
All right, look. I know if you heard it, you probably want to get involved.
Oh,
it's AI, baby.
100% want to be.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good bit.
Just doling out wisdom left and right.
It's a good bit,
yes.
Phil. Ask it something. Give it a run. Just ask it something. Go ahead. It's the Sarge GPT.
Okay.
You can ask it anything. It doesn't have to be about anything in particular.
So Sarge, Valentine's Day's coming up. Valentine's Day's coming up.
Yes.
It interrupts, too.
Because as Fred just pointed out on one of his reads that my testosterone levels might be low. With Valentine's Day coming up, this is a huge concern for me. What could I do between now and then to make sure my testosterone is at the level of Fred Toucher's?
What an interesting question. I have 17 championship belts. Did Sarge GPT answer all your questions?
No, and it takes a real long time with a lot of spaces in between.
A lot of work done here.
A lot of buttons or something.
I know that you wanted to be a part of it.
No, yeah, thank you.
So
I do think AI, has the potential to just ruin everything for us, but not this.
When all else fails, consult a Kowloon fortune cookie.
All right, Sarge, thank you very much.
No charge from the Sarge.
All right,
GPT.
Thank you, Sarge. It couldn't exist on its own. It needed to come back. And in fact, look every hour for the rest.
Did Sarge GPT answer all your questions?
For the rest of my career, it was.
Sarge, what should the Patriots do with the 4th overall pick?
Sorry, that problem is too large for the Sarge.
All right, very good. All right, so Phil, I'm just glad that you. That was my gift to you. All right, so I just know you.
Would you like to take a brief 30-minute survey about your Sarge GPT experience?
You wanted to be involved with that.
I did.
with the home run. All right, look, we talked to Dane Brugler. There's a lot of stuff that could happen at the top of the draft.
Yes.
You're talking to people. How much could things move? Like, how much could opinion change? Because usually, like we kind of knew last year, at least 2 of those quarterbacks would be taken. Where are we at here?
So the question I know for people in the league is just how much are some of these quarterback-needy teams going to fall in love with the quarterbacks? For instance, someone suggested to me, this is not somebody in the know.
Is it possible to fall in love with these quarterbacks in this draft, though?
Ask Sarge. I don't know.
No, I thought that's what you were doing for a second there.
Shush.
Is it possible for them to fall in love? No. But it is
yes.
No.
But it is possible for them to be in a spot that the Patriots were in 2021, for example, and say to themselves, well, we've got nothing until we've got a quarterback. And until we've got a quarterback, we've got to try like hell to get a quarterback. And so what do? And I look at a team like Fred Toucher's Jets, and I say to myself, how are they not at least trying to do whatever they can if they think one of these guys can eventually play? Trying to do whatever they can to land one, because that's a roster where if you get a quarterback who can give you something representative at that position, they could be a good team right away. They've got talent all over the field.
Not so much with the rookie quarterback, though. That defense is losing a lot of pieces, and it wasn't very good last year. And you can't go by some of the defensive statistics. I don't think there's any way the Jets take a quarterback in the first round.
They have talent, though, is what I would say, Fred, in terms of you've got a guy that should be a franchise corner. I know he just had a bad year in Sauce Gardner. You still have Quinnen Williams. You still have Garrett Wilson on the offensive side. Like you have the pieces in place to. You're not going to be able to make a Jaden Daniels-esque run the way the Commanders did with a rookie quarterback. But if you can get something that is like a B to Jaden Daniels A, you could be sniffing the postseason, and that's worth pursuing, in my opinion, to move up from 7 to maybe all the way to 1 and get Cam Ward.
Yeah, but I don't think they can take that kind of swing right now. because I'll tell you why, and then I'll stop talking about the Jets. You brought them up. Is that you drafted Zach Wilson, and that was a failure, and then you brought Aaron Rodgers, and that was a failure. It's time to stop taking big swings. Because, like, there's an argument that you could trade for Matthew Stafford. Like, there's rumblings that, the Rams are trying to redo things, and you can't do that either.
If there was an slam dunk quarterback prospect,
yes,
sure. But not Cam Ward is not a sure thing.
But not Cam Ward.
Shedeur Sanders sure as hell is not a sure thing.
If they took Shedeur Sanders, I mean, it would challenge my fandom as much as it's ever been challenged. And Shedeur Sanders might very well end up being a good quarterback. But if they sat at 6 with all the needs on this team and with all the turmoil and all the crap and then brought Shedeur Sanders into it, no.
Boy, that'd be fun to watch from afar, though.
Yes, my God!
Oh, amen. It would.
And I think that Shedeur Sanders might actually be better equipped to play pro football than a lot of guys, just because of like his, he's been around it. He's supposed to be a good kid, like and all that. I just think physically, it's such a leap. If he's good, it's despite a lot of stuff, right? Like, if he's good, it's despite his arm strength. It's despite his size. He's not super fast.
No, he's not a runner.
So he's not a runner. Like, if he succeeds, it's all on like guile and grit. And I'm not taking that. I'll take that in the 4th round. I'm not taking that in the top 10 of the draft. I wouldn't take him in the 1st round. Now, the reason Cam Ward's interesting is he's a physically extraordinarily talented, but he's a lot of people think he's a head case. You saw it with the bowl game. Apparently, his recruitment to Miami was this whole circus with his family. Like, there's a lot of red flags with Cam Ward. So if I was a GM, I'd know a lot more than what I know now. But if I was a GM, I'm interested I've heard a lot of stuff about Cam Ward that's not good. I'm interested, nothing criminal or terrible, but like I'm interested that in this draft, if we're sitting there at 10, the 10th pick comes off the board, and this isn't ideal for the Patriots because then at 4, no quarterbacks will have been taken, and a quarterback has not been taken. Like I think there's enough red flags with all these guys, and I'm wondering after the workouts if Jackson Dart, people are like, Jackson Dart could play in the NFL. I'm going to take him in the 2nd round. And that's what my plan's going to be in the draft.
More and more you see these mock drafts with Dart sneaking into the back end of the 1st round.
It's the same like J.J.
Jalen
McCarthy.
Milroe's the same way. Everyone all of a sudden, even though Jalen Milroe wasn't very good the second half of the season for Alabama, everyone's falling in love with the physical abilities. Oh, you know what? He might be good. Let's take him at the end of round 1.
I don't know this, but it's like it might be like J.J. McCarthy. Like I don't know anything about Jackson Dart, but everyone said wait till J.J. McCarthy works out. Like he's not a game manager. Wait until he works out. Wait until he works out. And who takes him? But Kevin O'Connell, I trust his opinion, right? Kevin O'Connell seems to know how to run an offense.
He's done pretty well.
Yeah, I just don't think anybody that we're talking about as maybe, whether it's Dart or whether it's Tyler Shuck, who's a quarterback out of Louisville, who was maybe the best quarterback at the Senior Bowl, apparently, and he might go in the 2nd round. Maybe he even sneaks his way into the 1st. Like, who knows, just because these teams get quarterback desperate. And so that's what I'm wondering with the top 2 guys. I don't care about the others. That doesn't impact the Patriots in any way whatsoever. What I'm looking at is, okay, I think Cam Ward's probably going to – I think there's a decent chance he goes off in the top 3. I think the physical skill set will attract people. Jaden Daniels had some issues in terms of when he transferred, and he had some stuff,
he won the Heisman,
that people were looking at too. He won the Heisman. He was a better player. But, you're talking about off-field stuff that's maybe a concern, not really. I look at the Patriots at 4 and say, if Shedeur Sanders is there, is somebody going to get desperate? Are the Raiders going to get desperate? Brady's had a relationship with Shedeur since he was in high school, I think, and knows Deion Sanders, and I think they would like to have that kind of flash as part of their organization. So would they trade up? I actually have a mock draft coming out today.
Woo! Oh, hey,
you're welcome. You're welcome. We need more mock drafts in the world.
And honestly, there can't be enough mock drafts. I'm not being sarcastic. I love the draft so much.
And if you're a Patriots fan, whatever you
get
post
used to
is
it.
going to get read.
Hey, Patriots fans, your highlight of your season's in April from now on. So get used to it.
So you have
I've been living this way my whole life.
And as somebody who loves the draft as well, Fred, it's a lot of fun for me to do. I had the Patriots trading from 4 to 6 because the Raiders wanted Shedeur Sanders in this scenario, and they ended up trading a guy that I know Dane Brugler loves, and I think you guys talked to him about this player for a minute or two, is Jalen Walker.
Yes.
He's an edge defender from Georgia.
Yes.
He's 20 years old. He's about to be 21. He's on the ball, off the ball. He's not the tallest guy in the world, but he has long arms. He's really explosive. He's thought to be a very high-end football character person. And so I just look at him and I say, versatility, big program, just won the Butkus Award as the best linebacker in college football. I'm looking at Mike Vrabel, character, culture. He seems like his kind of guy, especially in a draft like this one where you're not getting a blue-chip talent in all likelihood. There's 2 blue chippers, I think, in this class. And then I think there are probably like 10, quote-unquote, red chippers.
Brugler
it's like
has
a step back.
Brugler has him third behind, the top 2.
And I think he certainly has an argument to be the best guy in sort of that next tier. And if you're the Patriots and you can get that at 6 and you can use them all across your defense as Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams, like that to me would have a lot of value. And you're adding maybe like a second-round pick on top of it because you traded back. That to me would make a lot of sense.
You think you get a second-rounder in return for trading up that many 2 slots? Who's
it
picking
depends
fifth?
on what kind of bidding war you have going on.
Who's picking
Jacksonville?
Fifth? Okay, and they're not taking a quarterback.
They're not taking a quarterback either. But, if the Saints call the Patriots and say, we'd like to trade up from 9, and the Raiders call and say, well, no, how much do you need? We need to get this guy
No,
from
it makes
6.
sense. The Saints the Saints need as many rookies as they can get. There's something like $25 million over the cap. The Saints are
in some years, like if you look at the Darnold year, I mean, you might remember this trade off the top of your head. I think the Jets traded from 6 to 3, so not 6 to 4, but 6 to 3. I think they gave up 2 first-round picks to do that.
Maybe, but
or maybe a first and 2 seconds.
I don't think.
I
don't think they gave up 2 first-round picks. They might have. Their own pick and then another first-round pick.
Yeah, sorry. So it's not. So they're trading up. They're giving away a future first, and I think a second in that year's draft at least.
Yeah, Darnold was considered though an elite talent, and
that's true. And it was a different sort of quarterback class.
Yeah, and Darnold. Everyone that was around Darnold, even when he was with the Jets, was like, this kid's good. He's just with a terrible, terrible, terrible organization. And they don't say that about many people, as you know, the football writers. They all big, strong, good arm, and they just ruined him. He would have been good if he got drafted anywhere else. The Jets could have ruined Tom Brady. The Jets could have ruined John Elway. The Jets could have ruined Dan Marino. They didn't take him. They took Kenny O'Brien. Came out better than the Patriots in that draft.
Far better.
Who took Tony Eason.
Yep.
Who was way worse than Ken O'Brien. Ken O'Brien was a serviceable quarterback.
And the Patriots
listen to the scarring, the scar tissue that you've built up over the years. That's why you don't want a quarterback. You would rather watch a full season of Tyrod Taylor play starting quarterback for the New York Jets.
He's pretty good.
Than have the Jets actually invest in a young quarterback.
Tyrod Taylor starts every game. They win 8 games. That's how bad Aaron Rodgers was last year. He was atrocious. He was worse than Zach Wilson in some ways. Now, there were games he played well, but there were 3, maybe. Awful.
Future Pittsburgh Steeler Aaron Rodgers.
That's too good an organization.
Tomlin's got enough problems.
They'd have to be out of their mind.
Tomlin's doing all he can just to stay at 500. Now you're going to toss that guy out?
You know who I think? Justin Fields is the guy I think that the Jets end up with. I think they end up with Justin Fields. And I think that, and there's reports that the Steelers aren't interested in keeping Russell Wilson, but everything I'm reading out of Pittsburgh is that they are interested in keeping Russell Wilson and that it will be super cheap. So who knows? You know they'll be a wild card team anyway and lose in the first round. All right, well, Phil Perry, look, we can't have you in because we can't afford it for a while. Your mock draft comes out today.
It does.
On NBCSportsBoston.com.
That's right.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that. And we would like to have you in as much as possible, especially when the draft comes, free agency and everything else.
That would be great.
We would love to have you on.
Always love to be in with you guys.
All right, thank you
Specimens
so much,
such as you are.
Yeah, Nick's working on that video. And I want that shot of my face right how I made it.
I'm melting.
Like Mean Gene Okerlund once said, you can't help the way you look.
I suggest more of that. Keep it going. Get those fingers flying. Go home and start squeezing a tennis ball. All right. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, boys.
We'll be back.
Speaking of that, Fred, little hint. Big unboxing here, which I've already unboxed. I'm going to unbox it again. It's going to be up to you and Wallach to tell me What is in this box and why did I get it?
Weird box opening.
Oh, nice.
Coming up on the Toucher and Hardy show.
Can you give Sarge GPT some more information?
I'll give you all the information you need in a minute, Sarge.
Stop it, Sarge. It's enough of you. All right, so we'll be back. Here are the headlines.
likely have missed from the show. It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You ready to get annoyed, Hardy?
Yeah.
You're going to get annoyed.
Yeah.
All right, so Alex Bregman signs a 3-year deal with the Red Sox. He's the 5th highest paid player in the Major League Baseball. Good. They'll probably make the playoffs. He's a right-handed hitter. He missed a lot of balls, a lot of swings and misses last year.
Rakes at Fenway.
But, yeah, well, the sample size, yes, he rakes at Fenway. So it's a good signing. He'll play second base. He's a good fielder. Very good. The Tigers didn't want to give him that much money annually, so he comes to the Red Sox. Go ahead.
Okay. John Henry's wife, Linda, posted something to Instagram. Thanks to Ryan Beaton for alerting us to its presence. It is a view of John Henry from the side holding a cigar with the ashes wafting into the air. It is as if it is a mic drop for signing Alex Bregman.
I've defended John Henry so many times.
Look at that.
In the hate
you
that
get
he
a good
gets.
view of that, Hardy?
Bringing all these World Series to Boston, and he still gets all this hate. Enough. Stop with the nonsense. I get it. And I don't even make fun of their relationship because I think it's genuine and not weird like Belichick's. John Henry, at the time of their meeting, was not a big fatso with boobs like Bill Belichick is. So I have no problem with their relationship, nor do I with John Henry. In fact, I'm a defender of John Henry. If I was him, I'd be pissed at everyone here. You signed a free agent. Like, enough.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't just sign Juan Soto. Right. And even then, I wouldn't do it. Like, stop. Everyone get off social media. Stop. Nothing looks cool. It doesn't look cool. It looks dumb. You're trying too hard. It's the opposite of cool. You're doing the antithesis of cool.
Yeah,
you're trying. You can't try and be cool. You got to make people think you're not trying.
I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt by thinking that Linda maybe was entering her photography phase. There's many people with not enough time or not enough things to do in their lives.
I'll sit here. Go ahead. Take the picture.
Inevitably get into, but it's not artistic enough. No, that's a statement photo.
That's a statement photo after ignoring the offensive lineup for 5 years. See? Look at what we did.
A man of his years probably should not be
it's a good
smoking
point.
cigars.
Yeah.
I can't smoke them, and I'm 50.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. If you're listening, Linda, I've never said one bad word about you to my knowledge. I've never made fun of your relationship. You made a mistake. It's fine, but it's the antithesis of something cool.
It's part of her story. It'll be gone in a few hours.
Oh, good.
All right, can I open this box?
Yeah, I know what you want to get to. You want to get to this box already.
Huge box. I thought it was golf related. There was something about a net on the side of it, and I thought, maybe it's pickleball related.
Oh, thank God.
All right, because Hardy.
What are you doing with those scissors?
No note.
What's the matter with you?
No packing anything.
12 wanted you to
Guy's
use
got this
knife.
giant box. He could have just popped into the studio. Hey, hand me your pocket knife there, 12. No. What the?
How about a junior tennis racket?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is new stuff. This is not used.
How about 8 of them? How about 8 junior tennis rackets?
Jesus.
What is going on?
There may be more than 8. Would you like some
John Wayne Gacy's?
Tennis balls to go with it.
These are a bunch of things I had in the van.
Tennis balls. These are these weird red dot tennis balls.
They're training balls.
Training balls.
For kids.
And how many, Hardy? I don't know.
Did they give you an unmarked van to put all this in?
500.
Oh, my God. Look at that.
How old are your children? 18 and how old?
18 and 14. And there's a net in here. That's why the damn thing weighs 50 pounds.
Yeah, they're taking it to the street. That's where tennis is going.
Why did someone send?
Because pickleball courts are taking up all the room.
Why did someone send me this?
Seems a bit much.
Yeah.
All right, so there's 8 children's tennis rackets.
At least.
And then there's a few cylinders of children's training balls.
There's more rackets in here.
Oh, my God.
Were they afraid you're going to run out?
There might be a dozen tennis rackets in
Well, let's start a business. I'm telling you, how much is it? What are those, $30 in the store? They're like garbage Wilson rackets.
No explanation, no email, no nothing.
Hardy, you could fashion a pair of those into a pretty serviceable pair of snowshoes.
Give them you know what to do with them. Give them to Adam. He'll figure it out. That's a stove to him. That's a bed.
Nah, it's the going to the Boys and Girls Club is where that
He
would
puts
go.
that over a bucket. That's his toilet.
It's a grill.
It's addressed to Rob Hardy Pool at the Sports Hub. It's meant to be sent to me.
Maybe they thought that you were going to branch out from your golf club little exercise you do on the mornings. And maybe they thought you were going to bring it into other country club sports.
It makes no sense.
I thought you were going to say something hurtful like another fringe sport.
Like golf? No, golf is fringe. It's of the elite.
Thank you.
Adam doesn't care for it.
I like mini golf.
Oh, shut up. All right, that'll do it for us. Why do you have to say anything? Just stay off the microphone.
It didn't take long. Only, 5 months?
With your dumb interjections.
All right.
I'm just doing this to piss off this TV station. All right, that'll do it for us.
Sarge GPT signing off.
And look for more of that. That'll do it for